wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is WWE Catch-Up Commentary, where we'll be catching up with the past, what, Ashton, 2 weeks, is it, or 3 weeks?
2 weeks, yep.
2 weeks of Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live right in NXT UK, since this is the full one, correct?
Yep.
All right, so there you guys have it. I'm ready to just get right into this, brother. You know how we do this by now, so what do you want to talk about first?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Let's just talk about 205 Live real quick, because that's kind of the least substantial thing that we can talk about, because there have literally only been 3 matches on the last 2 shows combined. So on the 7/24 show, we had Drake Maverick beating Leon Ruff, and Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch. I almost called him Tony Burch. That's why I paused there, because I was thinking Tony Burch, and I knew that wasn't right. Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, and Mansoor beating the team of Ever Rise and Tahuti Miles. So those were the only 2 matches we got on that show. We did get a Swerve video package in the middle of all that, and it also advertised that Swerve would be in a tag team match this week with Tony Nese. So then this week, we actually got the entire show. It was a 1-match, 1-show kind of deal this week. Tony Nese and Swerve versus Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza with Santos Escobar at ringside.
Yeah, sounds like it was solid, but really no comment there. I know 205. I mean, it seems like they're doing big things when you've got a guy the level of Santos Escobar as your cruiserweight champion. You know, it's just we're more checked into what Santos does on NXT than 205.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might have to go back and check out the match from this week that just happened, on last night's episode of 205, because it went like almost 20 minutes, and it was really, really good, so I'm very curious. And you know how much of a fan I am of both Swerve and, at this point, also, to a degree, Raul Mendoza.
Absolutely.
Although, just to add a little nuance, Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde actually did win the match with Wilde pinning Nese. So,
okay.
Even though Swerve's team didn't win, he also wasn't the one to eat the pin for his team.
Right, okay.
So, that covers 205, though. Everything else, because NXT UK is still doing legacy shows, so we kind of skip that. And we've been live reacting to NXT, so we don't really have to worry about that. We'll still cover Raw and SmackDown, and that's all that we have left. So let's just talk about Raw and SmackDown. And let me tell you guys, SmackDown to me has been watchable, but not great. Raw is straight up, like, right at the brink of being unwatchable to me. Like, the reason that I stay tuned into Raw every week is not because of anything that any men are doing. It is almost exclusively for the women, and it is very much because of the Kabuki Warriors, which now it's down to just Asuka, which is still great. She's still great, but losing Kairi is definitely a blow. Sasha, Bayley, and then the whole Ruby, Bianca, Liv iconic story. Like, those 2 storylines are what keep me tuning into Raw every week and not just completely ignoring its existence.
I would more or less agree with that, yeah. Yeah, Raw's been really mad at me. SmackDown has good things going on. Again, as I've explained on past...
I feel like SmackDown is in a holding pattern right now for some reason.
Now, when you say a holding pattern, can you just elaborate?
Well, I feel like... I feel like... So, here's how I should put it. I feel like Braun Strowman as the Universal Champion is kind of almost entering that Brock Lesnar territory where he doesn't really show up that often. So it feels like, to me, the Intercontinental Championship is like the world title of SmackDown, and AJ defends that shit every fucking week. I was actually thinking about that last night as we got our AJ Styles versus Grand Metalik match. AJ Styles went into becoming the Intercontinental Champion being I don't want to defend it. I want to keep this thing forever. The more you defend it, the more chances you got to lose it. And yet, I feel like he's defended it every single week since he's won it. He is a fighting champion far more than his character ever wanted to be.
Yeah, and they kind of tie that to maybe him trying to prove something to Daniel Bryan, because Daniel was on his bullshit.
Yeah.
And AJ's like, well, I'll show you, Daniel. I'm going to conquer this whole earth as Intercontinental Champion. And yeah, I don't think he defended it 2 weeks ago, because that's when they had the Fatal 4-Way to determine the contender, but he defended it just last Friday. So
just yesterday,
I mean,
yeah, against Grand Metalik,
Yeah.
and then the week before that was when he defended it against Riddle, and I want to say it might have even been the week before that he defended against Gulak. Like, he has been on a serious chain of defenses. It's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. So yeah, Raw's been pretty mad for me, and SmackDown again. I think just because of Raw, and really again, I would almost say content saturation too, just with wrestling in general, because we do cover a lot on the channel. I think it just gets to a point where if you're not at a certain level, I'm really not interested.
Yeah.
And I would say SmackDown gets there more than Raw does. But Raw, man, it's like, well, you want to do Rocket League and get the right YouTube content early? Like, that's really my mindset when I get on
Exactly. We've done that. We've done that most Raws over the course of the last, like, maybe 2 or 3 months, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like with Raw, it's one of those things where, like, Drew will get my attention, but, like, it feels like too much lately he's got duds for opponents, and I won't pay attention after I see who he's facing. And MVP and Bobby Lashley are like one of those acts where I want to be invested, but they're just literally not doing anything at all right now, so I don't care. And then, like, again, that's the thing about Raw. Raw has become the show to me that it's like fucking 2009 TNA, where it's like they have all the talent in the world, they have all these amazing talents, they have a crazy stacked roster, and they have no fucking clue what to do with them. Because, like, you've got Aleister Black getting jobbed out and geeked out by Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy every week. Rey Mysterio doesn't have a fucking eye. Rollins and Murphy themselves are, like, in a holding pattern, just beating the hell out of those guys, not really with any kind of actual ambition. And now they can't have any ambition because Randy fucking Orton is the one that's going after Drew's title at SummerSlam. And speaking of Randy Orton, on the first Raw of the sort of period of time that we're going to be reviewing on this show, we had our main event was Randy Orton versus The Big Show in an unsanctioned match. Talk about a ratings killer. And not even exaggerating, that literally was I think I want to say that was the lowest viewed quarter hour in Raw history.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't the lowest rated period, it was at least the lowest rated in the demo, which everyone cares so much about now.
It amazes me that they went back to the well with that matchup because it was such a draw in the past when they did it. So
dude, it was literally our worst match of the year in 2013 when it main evented Survivor Series.
Yeah. So, like, I'm amazed. I'm amazed when they're just like, oh, let's do this match again, because why do you think it would be a draw now when both these guys are older and slower, just all the things that come with age? You know, like, Jesus Christ, read the fucking room. But, yeah,
yeah, dude, it's like the way that kind of works. Like, it almost makes me think that Vince thinks like NFL coaches, right? Because like there's a lot of studies that have been done that have said that if you run the ball against, you know, let's just, you know, I'll just be vague, 7 or more men in the box, you're gonna be losing the overall like sort of win expectation battle. So you shouldn't run unless there are fewer than 7 men in the box. But then there are all these coaches that'll be like, oh, we can run against 7 or 8 men in the box. We just have to execute better than them, right? Well, I bet Vince is thinking like, oh, well, that 2013 Survivor Series main event didn't fail because of the matchup. It failed for reasons X, Y, and Z. But if we do it again and we just make, you know, those reasons not the case anymore, then it'll do just fine. And then it doesn't. He comes up with a whole new set of excuses for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like fucking Trump, like, oh yeah, coronavirus isn't spreading so much because of reasons X, Y, and Z. It's because of these other reasons that I just completely pulled out of my ass that aren't actually valid at all, that nobody's going to check, but half my base is going to believe anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God, it's so bad.
Yeah, so that was the big thing there. Yeah, man, Raw. It really is like that like late 2000s TNA where they've got this amazingly stacked roster and just no fucking clue what to do with them. Like, I mean, even Ruby Riott, to me, Ruby Riott is one of the, especially now that Kyrie's gone, Ruby Riott is a top 5 female performer in the entire company, in my opinion. I think I put her just a notch below the Sasha, Io, Asuka tier, probably on the same tier as Bayley and Ember Moon and that kind of, I'd say she's around that area as far as like quality of performer. And they had her not win a single match until 720, which is the first Raw that we're talking about here. So she finally picked up a win, and it was over Peyton Royce with Billie Kay not even at ringside, because Billie Kay was missing on that episode of Raw for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mention Ruby, dude, because, like, I don't entirely hate the story they're telling with her. And I feel like if they really did it right, she could position herself as like a top female babyface, which especially with Kyrie gone, like you need somebody that likable and sympathetic. And I feel like the narrative they have for Ruby right now, like she could fill that slot. It's both, I don't exactly have the highest expectation for them to achieve that. And two, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm loving Sasha and Bayley, and I'm loving people in Sasha and Bayley's orbit. But the moment they cool down, like, I don't know if I'm going to be really invested in that undercard, unless you push them with the same, care and consistency. So Raw's just, I don't know. I just can't get into it. I can't get into it.
Yep. That's the real shame about Raw, man. Like, I have, like, a list here of everything that happened on Raw, and it's Black Rollins, and then Shelton Benjamin winning the 24/7 title. Ali is back, which is cool. Like, it's nice to see Mustafa Ali again. I've missed him for sure, no doubt about that. But at the same time, just this week, wasn't he on the losing side of a big trios tag match or something? Or no, didn't he?
No, he lost to
Bobby Lashley. That's right, yeah. So, like, you bring him back, you give him a nice, cute little win over MVP, who's basically retired at this point anyway and shouldn't be in the ring at all. And then, literally 1 week later, you have him job out to Lashley. It's like, okay, well, it's good to know that you're taking his push really seriously. Like, so Ali is like another one. That's right there. That is the perfect way to summarize my problem with Raw. Nobody feels special. Everyone just feels like just another person.
See, and my problem with that segment, because, and I do agree with your assessment. It's not that I think you're wrong, but I think when you do matches like this, you kind of put yourself into a corner. Because I remember even telling you after that match that I was glad Lashley won, because here was my logic. Here was a guy that just took Drew McIntyre to the limit.
Yep.
I mean, he jumped him, admittedly, at the start, but when the match really got going, Lana was the reason Lashley lost that WWE title match, and he still hasn't gotten a proper one-on-one rematch because they did that tag match where MVP got pinned by R-Truth. So when you beat a guy as credible as Drew McIntyre with everything he's done, he's still talking about how he beat Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes at WrestleMania. I could understand wanting to protect that guy. Yeah. But to your point, Mustafa just got back. And this guy has everything to be an amazing babyface, a big-time player. Can I just say, too, since I feel like this is still in the pocket, that I hate that they gave up the hacker gimmick. The whole, like, the revealer guy that was doing all that stuff.
Yep.
Because that was supposed to
be
Mustafa.
That, man. I wish they would have stuck with that. I think it's such a shame that they basically had to throw that entire gimmick in the trash because it was supposed to be Ali behind it, and now he's got traded over to Raw for fucking AJ.
Which, like, oh, God, what? You know what? No, you guys wanted to catch up commentary. This is part of
catch-up that's commentary. What this is for, yeah.
That is so stupid to me. Like, how, like, I want to know the writer's room or Vince, because I know it all comes down to Vince ultimately, but I want to know the fucking thought process of, hey, this guy's in the middle of a storyline that if we handle it with some finesse, he could be a great face, he could be a great heel, or he could just be a great tweener. A tweener at that fucking size and look would be so different. It'd be so fucking cool. But no, let's just completely put him on Raw, which, again, sometimes I understand that maybe you get a gut feeling like, oh, we can't do this, we gotta do something else. But here's an idea. Have a fucking plan for the dude. Because here's the thing. At least on SmackDown, he had a gimmick that you could go to anytime. And
it's so weird. You know what else is really weird with that, too, though? Is, like, it feels like the time, like, timeline-wise, it feels like they moved him over to Raw right as Heyman got outed, and they basically had Bruce Pritchard now running both shows. Like, there's no excuse at that point. You can't say, like, oh, they were trying to make something happen on SmackDown, but they ran out of ideas and they didn't know where to go with it, because it was Pritchard's fucking idea in the first place. Like, this is, unless somebody else came up with that idea and they got fired with, like, the big COVID releases or whatever, like, if this was a Pritchard thing in the first place, there's no reason that they should have dropped it like they did. That's the baffling thing to me, is, like, Pritchard is supposedly running both shows now, It started on the show that he was already running. Why would you have to end it?
Dude, I don't understand it, because you completely transplanted.
I wonder if that woman that was responsible for the Mandy Otis storyline was also at least somewhat responsible for the hacker gimmick, because she was released right around that time. So I wonder if that was the problem. If she got released and then they didn't have the person around that really had the idea of where that was going to end up going, and they just dropped it and traded him over to Raw.
That sucks, man. And I wonder if you're right, if that's not another point in the column of wrestlers having more creative autonomy. Because if a wrestler has more creative control, then their career isn't at the mercy of a person writing their character.
Yep.
It's just like, well, I can take this character with me wherever because I fucking made it. But now Mustafa, again, like you just got done saying a few moments ago, feels like just another guy now, when he had at least a gimmick where he was on solid ground. And now, and again, like, I think what makes me angrier too, and I wish Foster was here because I know Foster adores Ali. Absolutely adores Ali. Here was a guy that, did you see what he did on Raw Talk?
No.
When he first came back?
I didn't watch Raw Talk, admittedly.
Okay, so, well, this is another reason why I'm glad we do catch-up commentaries, because I never know what either of us kind of watch, because I know we kind of come into these things different. He actually used his platform to talk about, like, how he was a former police officer and how, like, he, you know, speaking out against police brutality on Raw Talk. Like, here is a guy that's socially conscious. You know his promos have a message, because you and I have seen enough of his promos. Like, if WWE, because I feel like there was a time, and again, maybe I'm looking through biased lenses, but I feel like the Ruthless Aggression era, you look at a guy like John Cena, you know, when Eminem was on fucking fire and stuff, they had their finger on the cultural zeitgeist. You know, if WWE was still on top of their game, they would tap into the culture and realize, wow, Mustafa could be one of the most popular baby faces we have. Because here's a man of color who's Muslim, right, who speaks about police brutality, who's tried to be one of the good cops and then quit. So he really was a good cop, because I always say the only good cop is one that quits.
Yeah, and you do say that. I've actually heard you say that before.
Yeah, and like he actually uses it to talk about anti-bigotry, you know, anti-hatred, you know, anti-police brutality. And like WWE is just like, well, let's have him lose to Lashley. What I would have done is they won the tag match by him pinning MVP. I would have had him do it again in a singles match, and then I would have had him do it for the U.S. title. I would have done with the U.S. title what NXT thought to do with the Cruiserweight title with Jordan Devlin. When Apollo Crews can get back, then he can challenge for it. But we need an interim U.S. champion, because we're not going to have Vacant hold the title while Apollo is recovering from whatever. Mustafa could be interim U.S. champion. Apollo comes back. He aligns with MVP. He regains the title. Mustafa does the chase. Like, that's what I would do. This way you get Apollo situated with a heel faction, the Hurt Business. And you get Mustafa. I mean, I don't think he's a guy that necessitates an undefeated streak, but at least his losses actually matter within a broader narrative context. What narrative context does this loss feed? So you've given Mustafa nothing. The Hurt Business really doesn't look any different. And again, everybody just looks like everybody else. Kind of tying back to, you know, something you said before I really took the reins here. So, yeah, I just think they're completely mishandling Mustafa. And on a more macrocosmic scale, I think they're mishandling a bit of the undercard, honestly. So, yeah, that's just my 2 thoughts on that.
All right. You know what? Let's kind of actually dive into what would effectively be our heat of the night and talk about the actual shit that we're angry about, as if we weren't already doing that. We kind of naturally, you know, trend towards starting our commentaries regarding WWE that way. But to me, how do I put this? I'm going to pull up my own Twitter, because I actually tweeted, kind of sort of live tweeted Raw this week. Not fully, but partially. Yeah, so the 2 individuals on Raw that I am the sickest of seeing are Randy Orton and Dominic. How does that make you feel, John?
Dominic, definitely. Because with Dominic, I'm like, either shit or get off the pot. Like, I feel like this keeps leading to them wanting to do a match with him, probably against Seth Rollins. Either do it or don't. And if they don't do it at SummerSlam, then I'm just going to be like, well, what the fuck were you doing this for? Randy Orton I can sympathize with, but at least narratively I get it. Because at least in kayfabe, he's more dangerous than he's ever been as a character.
In kayfabe, he's kicking a bunch of old fucks' asses and trying to say he's the king of the world.
Yeah, it's like Legend Killer Redux, more or less.
Yeah.
But at least they're dovetailing it, to this WWE title match, which again, I get in a way. I don't.
That's
like
the thing,
it as a
dude.
fan.
I'm looking forward to that match. I'm not trying to say I'm not. I am genuinely looking forward to that match. It's the TV buildup that I don't give a fuck about.
Right.
Like the match itself, I'm confident that match is going to be good because we've seen Orton and Drew in the ring before. They're really fun together. Orton sells the shit out of everything Drew does, and I love that. So I am definitely excited for the match itself. It's the TV build that I just can't get into at all.
I understand that, man. Because, and dude, I have to say again, I feel so fucking bad for Drew because I really wonder how many people are going to be like, he was one of the worst WWE champions ever when you look at the viewership, but look at what he's up against.
Yep.
He's even, really, when you think about it, not to be that guy, I'm just going to call it like I see it, he's even up against his own company because one person doesn't make a show. So if the rest of the show is crap, I don't know. Do we even know how his segments individually are doing? Can somebody look that up?
I have no clue. I don't know if anyone really has any numbers on that. I'm sure Mixer does, but he's really fucking secretive about it, and I hate him for that.
Yeah, because I'd love to know.
He's right out in the open about the AEW and NXT quarter-hour ratings. Like, he'll share those with the world, no problem. But Raw and SmackDown, I don't think I've ever heard him really say anything about either one of those. But it would be really interesting if we could get, that's what I really want. I really want somebody with access to those numbers to basically make a fucking spreadsheet. Scrape that data, make a spreadsheet, average out who draws the most viewers in segments that they're in, and then list from most to person that loses the most viewers. Very curious to know who's popping ratings and who's killing ratings and stuff like that. But it seems like those numbers, if they are available for Raw and SmackDown, are not being published anywhere that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that's really a shame because I'd love to see how Drew's doing in this current era because I don't know if a WWE champion has ever inherited the circumstances that McIntyre has inherited.
Yeah.
And it's wild. It's absolutely wild. And I still love his promos. I love the aura. He feels like a champion. He feels like the champion. Like he comes out and I believe it. But man, this fucking virus. I mean, his opposition, his latest challenger was Dolph Ziggler. And here's the thing, too, if I'm being really honest, because I know I like to turn up and I like to rag on people, I thought the matches were actually pretty fun from an in-ring standpoint. But again, going back to that kayfabe and how characters are built and written, nobody's cared about Dolph Ziggler for at least 4 years. And that's the thing. I mean, come on.
Well, and that was a big thing over the course of the 2 weeks that we're covering here. First week was the one where Dolph came out and he cut his little promo about, I saw fear in your eyes, Drew, and he demanded a rematch, and it was one where he was willing to let Drew pick the stip, and then this week was the match where Drew picked the stip, and Drew, being the honorable babyface that he is and not just being fucking smart, decided to pick a stipulation of, it's Extreme Rules for both of us, so now I get to do the shit to you, but yeah, fine, you can do it to me too still, fine, whatever.
Yeah, and again, matches were fine. I actually like Dolph's sidestepping the Claymore in the rematch and hitting a zigzag. Cool fucking spot. But if you are what you're booked, which is one of the earliest things I've said on here, and I've never forgotten it, nobody's cared about Dolph in 4 years. And anytime he walks in a WWE title situation, the last few times he's walked in a WWE title situation, did anybody actually believe he was going to win the title? Because no judgment if you did, but I just never did, at all. So that goes against Drew. That's why I like Orton, because, again, from that standpoint, him taking out Edge, Big Show, I know they're old fucks, but, they're legends and all that stuff. I can see why he'd be a threat. I can't even say he's getting heat because we don't have crowds, which is another thing that sucks, too, because I'd like to know who the top heel would genuinely be right now, if it would be Orton or if it'd still be Seth Rollins, which, kind of spinning your wheel with Seth Rollins, I'm almost wondering why he isn't back in the world title picture, but that's neither here nor there right now anyway. I just really feel bad, man. I feel like Drew's run is going to go down as being lackluster, and it's not even something that I can blame him for. It's really going to be like that stupid fucking virus, dude. It sucks.
Yep. It's not going to be Drew McIntyre's world title run. It's going to be the coronavirus's world title run.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. What else happened on Raw over these two? Street Profits beat Andrade and Garza in a non-title match last week. And then this week, we had Garza and Andrade beating two different teams in a three-way for a Raw tag title shot at SummerSlam. And the two other teams were Ricochet and Cedric, and then the Viking Raiders. So Andrade and Garza lose a non-title match, still stay in contention, and then end up winning contendership for the pay-per-view to challenge the team that already beat them.
Yeah, I already thought it was lazy when you just beat the champions in a non-title match to earn contendership, but this is convoluted as fuck. Like... So
I guess if your biggest problem with the WWE product is having an entity beat a champion in order to earn contendership, they sidestepped that with this at least. Like, this didn't do that. They went around it. So I guess if that's your biggest problem, then they avoided doing that at least.
I mean, bro, I feel like we were just saying something. Oh, it was on Q&A. It was on fucking Q&A where I think it was like Abel or somebody asked how different would storylines be if they actually acknowledged wrestling math. And we thought it was like, and they clarified like, 50-50 booking and stuff like that. And they're literally doing this here. Because like Andrade and Garza lost to the champions. Then they won contendership for SummerSlam. What are they going to say at SummerSlam? Well, they lost an on-title matchup, and it was a great opportunity to scout the champions, so they're going to come more prepared this time. That's literally what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're doing the wrestling math. Who the fuck asked that question? I have questions.
Foster. It was Foster.
Wow, and he's not here. I want to know, is he an insider? Do you have somebody on the inside, Foster? Did you know they were going to do this and you just wanted to feel our reaction? It was tepid, Foster. It was a tepid reaction. I didn't want wrestling math. Oh my God. You got to be fucking kidding me. That's crazy. That's crazy.
To be fair, though, we don't have SummerSlam for another, 3 weeks, so you never know. Between now and then, Andrade and Garza might lose all those momentum that they're starting to build up.
I mean, well, if you want to keep the feud fresh and get me interested, because from a work rate perspective, it should be a fun tag match. I mean, really. I would like to see fucking Montez versus Andrade in the coming weeks. And, do Dawkins and Garza and then flip-flop it. Do Dawkins and Andrade and then Garza and Montez. I feel like those could be fun singles matches. And then you go back to the tag match, and you do that. I don't freaking know. I want to care, man. That's another thing, too. I want to care about Andrade. But I see a main event talent in him, and they're like, oh, tag titles. And it's not even anything against Garza. It's like, I feel like they're spinning their wheels with Andrade, and you know something, dude? After the trends we've been seeing the last few years, I mean, and you could jump in and tell me if I'm wrong, but don't you think this is the kind of booking that gets talents like Andrade to ultimately leave the company when their contracts are up? Because I feel like he's got to be looking at this and being like, I'm still pussyfooting with undercard guys, and I feel like Andrade probably feels he's a main event guy. I don't think he is going to stick around if he keeps getting booking like this. I don't even know if I would want him to. How do you feel about it? Because I know you're a big fan of Andrade too.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking too about why does everything feel so stale on Raw TV? And I honestly have gotten to the point that I almost feel like it's just because of how limited the roster is right now, because of how many guys they're missing, how many people they're missing, from whether it's because people are taking time off to avoid the risk of corona, or because people actually got corona, or stuff like that. I'm just like, it just feels like we see the same group of people every single week, and I'm so done with all of them. And that too is why I feel like we're in a situation where I don't give not even two, not even one. I don't give a single shit. I give zero shits about anything that happens on Raw TV that doesn't involve the women's division. And at the same time, I look forward to a lot of the matches on pay-per-views, because the pay-per-views are where the stories seem to be most likely to progress. Because on Raw, everything feels like it's just treading water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess I said holding pattern earlier, treading water. Any other phrases you can come up with to kind of imply that things just aren't moving along anymore. It feels like everything is stagnated. It feels like it just feels like we're jerking ourselves off every Monday, man. It just feels like, oh, yeah, Randy Orton is a big fucking deal again, except all he's really doing is beating up old people again. So like we're on a 10-year cycle because he was doing the same thing in like 2009 and 2010. Yeah, I feel very disengaged with the Raw product specifically. I feel somewhat disengaged with SmackDown too, but the Raw product, man, it feels so incredibly stale to me and so samey every week. It's like, I don't know, it's like they're making brownies every week, but they're using the same ingredients, and like they're also, you know, assembling them in relatively the same way, but they're just using slightly varying amounts of each ingredient, and the brownies basically take the same every week, sometimes worse than others, but they're never really exceptional. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just feel like these shows, they're really telling on themselves with like the minimized roster and everything else. I mean, maybe it wouldn't have been feasible to shut down production and just to resume WWE programming when the pandemic was over. But man, to not even cut your shows down, like we'll only run maybe 2 shows a month or something on each side, I don't fucking know.
Well, they can't, dude. They can't because of the networks. They would lose their network deals, and that's where their fucking bread and butter is made.
Yeah, it sucks. I hate it. Which I think goes back on a broader level to I just hate how everything's structured, like societally and stuff like that, which we talk about to death in Q&A. I'm not about to take that here. Yeah. But, like, I'm just saying, man, like, if you wanted to get me engaged again, if they didn't have any programming and then they were announcing, like, oh, Raw returns this Monday, I'd probably be glued to all 3 hours. I mean, sure, I'd probably be like, oh, it didn't get long for them to do the same old shit. But I'd be like, man, it's good to hear crowds again. It's good to see them again. I probably wouldn't even care for that one night. And maybe you could even hold on to me for a few weeks. But they could
treat that one night like a post-WrestleMania Raw. The crowd would be rowdy enough.
Oh, my God. I just feel like with them still doing this, like, I just don't care. And really, I think part of that is,
think about all of the returns and debuts and heel and face turns they could do on that. And they wouldn't even have to do them all in one episode, but they could spread them out over the course of, like, the first month of returning to really draw up that interest.
You know what I think part of it is, too? And I'm not trying to, like, grandstand here, but I almost wonder if, like, part of me, just because of, like, the political and socially charged atmosphere we're in right now, I almost wonder if, like, subconsciously I don't want to watch it because I don't want to encourage people being exposed to a virus, you know? Because then how many more people is it going to be like, oh, this week's Raw had 3 more positive cases, you know? I don't want to see that. And that's another thing,
How many times does Kayla Braxton need to get coronavirus?
I mean, but that's the thing, dude. Even as a fan, even if you were to take all the commentary, like socio-political commentary out of it, why would I want to watch a storyline, get really hooked into it, but oh, wait, you're writing this during the worst period in human history, and then one of the people got sick, so we're going to have to dovetail this into a guy doing something else. No, I'm not going to get my hopes up only for somebody to get sick. I've been thankful that, knocking on all the wood here, Miz and Morrison have been fine. You know, it's just
especially Miz having to go home to the 2 daughters that he's got,
which that's disgraceful in and of itself. And like, you know, I guess I respect the well, no, I don't respect the hustle. Fuck capitalist culture. fucking yeah, like I don't know, man. It's a mess, dude. It's really like. It's a mess, and that's why I feel like, at least with, you know what makes me feel comfortable about Japanese rather, no fucking lie. 1, it's amazing, and 2, people are wearing masks, so I even feel guilt-free watching the product.
Yes.
I'm like,
yep.
Yeah.
Not only are the people in the crowd wearing masks, but like they're sanitizing the ring between matches.
I haven't even seen WWE do that, dude.
No,
like,
I've never seen them do it. Not even well. To be fair, if they are doing it, I mean, I've never seen them do it, which tells me they probably aren't. But if they are doing it, they could just be hiding it by doing it during commercial breaks. I would not. You know, I'm not jumping on they aren't doing it for sure because we haven't seen it, because it's WWE and they care a lot more about optics. So they're just like, oh, we don't want to look unprofessional and have like ring cleaners appearing on television. We want our television time to matter. So they have them do it in between commercials. Like I could see that happening.
I just know though, like with NXT, I wonder how likely that is because they have done screen commercials.
Yeah, well, that's only like, during matches though.
True. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I would, dude, I fucking hope. I really hope. Because the idea that I can't even definitively say, oh, of course they're cleaning it. That's bad. Like,
yeah.
Get some goddamn goodwill to the people, for fuck's sake. What were we even talking about? Let's talk about something else. What else
Okay,
is on the
let's talk
docket?
about another awful thing that happened on Raw between the Nia Jax is back.
Ah, that was my groan.
I heard. It sounded very
So
I'm impressed.
So Orton cuts his promo about how he wants to be WWE champion, challenges Drew to fucking SummerSlam. Then Nia comes out. They have a glare because they interacted at the Royal Rumble. Nia got RKO. Fuck you. And then she's like, I heard Randy, and he's right. I woke up, and I wanted to be Raw Women's Champion. So, Asuka, Sasha, I'm going to be watching your match. And then thank the gods, Shayna Baszler's music hits. I'm going to be real with everybody. I don't give a baker's fuck what anybody thinks about Shayna Baszler, because I will take that woman 500 billion times over Nia Jax.
Yep.
I am so sick of this woman.
Shayna Baszler is such a safe worker that they had to write storylines of her injuring people because she never did it.
Yeah.
She never shoot injures anyone, so she has to kayfabe injure people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know who has caused more shoot injuries than Shayna Baszler? And this isn't even me trying to it's not even an indictment on the person I'm about to bring up. It's just a point of if this person can injure people and Shayna doesn't, how great does that make Shayna look? Io Shirai.
Yeah.
Io Shirai has shoot injured Toni Storm already. That just happened at the beginning of the year or something like that. Or it might actually, you know what? It might have been the other way around. So Toni Storm. But still, the point stands. People think Toni Storm's amazing too. The point stands. Shayna never injures anyone.
Yeah. And then they're going to put the woman that never injures anyone to the woman that'll injure everyone, so she's the only one left.
Yeah, I genuinely do. I honestly, have got to the point that I'm starting to wonder if she's doing it on purpose. Because, I know I'm not actually as talented as all these other women, but I am bigger than them, and I can put them on the shelf, and then they'll be forced to use me.
And then if they try and make me suffer consequences, I'll just get Dwayne on the phone.
Uh-huh.
I hate everything. I actually, if everything was physically embodied in a person, I'd be serving a life sentence. So, Shayna, now here's the silver lining. Now that's something I feel like we haven't done on TWitWoW in a long time with a pile of shit. I find the prospect of the bully becoming the protector against bullies to be interesting. I find the potential of a babyface Baszler interesting.
Is she really going to be a babyface, though? I feel like it's more just that she wants Asuka, and we're just getting an awkward heel versus heel feud to determine Asuka's next contender.
That's fair, but I'm going to tell you the same thing I told you, I think, when it was... I don't know what fucking match we're watching. Dude, time's fucked. But there was a match where it was
I've been saying 2020 is the only year that's going to ever happen where every month is going to feel like a year, and yet the year is going to fly by without us even realizing it. It's both the fastest and slowest year ever to exist.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a same alignment matchup, and I'm like, oh, well, just somebody's going to be working more heel or more face or whatever.
Right.
And I could see Shayna, at least in the context of this mini feud, working more baby, and that is exciting to me. Because that's something we really haven't seen from Shayna Baszler really ever yet. So at least we're getting new territory. It's just, why does it? Because, dude, if we were experimenting with this territory, I don't know, with fucking Bayley in the ring, I'd be stoked as fuck. Or Sasha or whatever. You gave her, in the words of Kevin Owens, you gave her the worst one. Fuck. I can't, man. I can't. And, the thing is, I feel like the only two people to really get good matches out of Nia are Bayley and Asuka. And if Shayna can join that club, bless her fucking heart.
Didn't Sasha go out of her a few years ago on Raw?
Possibly. It wouldn't surprise me. Okay, we'll just add Sasha only because it makes sense, even if I can't definitively remember. But if
I know that on this week's show, we got Nia versus Shayna, and it went to a double countout too.
Oh, we did actually get a match between them? I didn't even know that, dude. I was so checked out, dude.
Nia dumped Shayna over the top rope and then followed her. slammed her into the plexiglass, and eventually it was a double count out as they like brawled on the outside. So yeah, it was like a double count out.
Why are they protecting Nia? None of this matters.
Shayna put the Kirifuda on a security guy because they brought out security to try and break it up.
Well, that's cool. I wish I was having fun. That'd be nice. I feel like this is all the karma for like me just being a shit person. Is like, hey, you know this thing that saved you from an awful childhood and that you've stuck with for almost 2 decades? Yeah, you're not going to be interested in the Americanized version, but I can still watch Japanese stuff, right? Oh yeah. Well then I'm good. I'm good. Fucking Stardom kicked ass recently. We were watching a lot of that.
But also, it's like the monkey paw. It's like, oh, pro wrestling is the medium that you choose to be invested in. Well, American wrestling fucking sucks. But I get Japanese wrestling, right? And that's amazing. Yeah, sure, you get Japanese wrestling, but Evil's double champ.
Yeah, but at least on the American side, I have my all-time favorite Kairi Sane. And then just silence.
But she's going to Stardom for only a year. Aww.
Well, you know what though? Better a year than nothing. That honestly.
And that's also pure speculation. We're hoping she goes to Stardom.
Yeah, really. And if she does go to Stardom for that year, I'm gonna tell you all right now, her year is gonna blow Nia Jax's entire career out the water. So hopefully Shayna wins this feud. Goes on to challenge for the title. I don't fucking know anymore. Let's just do the damn thing. What came after this? I just really want to get there. How much more bad is there?
Let's see. I'm going to just kind of run down what I have on my little notepad here for Raw last week. So the 720 Raw. Black Rollins, Shelton Benjamin winning the 24/7 title. Ali being back. We already talked about that. Ruby, well, I'm trying to think about all the bad stuff, and we'll save kind of the good stuff for later, which is why we're not necessarily talking about Black Rollins yet, or Ruby. Street Profits, we already talked about that. Stephanie, we already talked about all. Well, we're going to talk about the Asuka, Sasha, Bailey, Kairi stuff eventually. Ziggler, Drew, we kind of touched on that enough, right?
Yeah.
Like Orton show, we already talked about. Fuck that. So let's talk about Seth and Aleister Black. Let's talk about them. They had a match last week where Rollins, I believe, beat Aleister, and then this week they did another thing. I think it was Aleister versus Murphy this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe you're correct about that.
And then Aleister lost an eye. So
okay. Let me just ask everybody something.
Oh, you know what? It wasn't even a match. It wasn't even a match. It was Rollins and Murphy trying to take out Dominic again, I think. And Aleister ran in and tried to make the save, and they did the thing to his eye. Seth had Murphy do the thing to his eye that they did to Ray.
Yeah, so question to everybody here before I give my full thoughts. Because they actually did change a little bit after seeing this. Did anybody see Aleister Black's Instagram post?
Oh, I didn't.
Let me read you the caption that he wrote on this. He said, "There's blood on my shoes, and I understand I have to take accountability in this, but let me tell you a story. See, my father was a cruel man, and he was cruel because his father was cruel to him. So I created a narrative that evil was a perspective as means to not be like him. And now I must rewrite 4 years of my own history by getting rid of that weakness. The same weakness that caused this betrayal. This is where my accountability ends and yours starts." And then he shared this photo on Instagram, which admittedly was really fucking badass, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up. So this was his Instagram post with the photo included here. Just want to wait for anybody to react to that before I continue.
There it is. Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay. So it's funny where he said that caused this betrayal. Who betrayed you? Maybe he's referring to his father because you mentioned him at the beginning. I don't know if this is going to be a more badass, like I'm done giving a fuck, you took my eye, I'm going to take everything, Aleister Black. Because I really just... here was my problem up until this Instagram post, and here's where the Instagram post gives me very tentative hope. Aleister Black feels like a regular man, and he shouldn't. And I apparently heard, now take it with a grain of salt. We always say whenever we bring up dirt sheets, take it with a grain of salt. But that Vince looks at Alistair a lot like he did with Cesaro, that he feels that Alistair is missing something, like he likes him, but he doesn't see a main event guy in him. And I love the No DQ forum where I read this at, because most of the people, and normally that comment section is cancer, but they're like, the thing he's missing is the title around his waist. And, a lot of people were like, what the fuck are you doing? Because he hasn't even done his cool Alistair-like entrance in a while, which in a way I get, because you don't have crowds, so why even bother? But he just feels like a guy to me. He doesn't feel like a force. He doesn't feel like a killer. He feels like just a really tatted up dude that's, I guess, a competent wrestler at best. And I fucking hate it. I hate it. I'm glad Drew's WWE champion, because I almost wish that Seth was WWE champion, because at least Alistair would be in proximity to the belt. But he's not, and he's doing a feud trying to be a good guy, standing up for a legend that's way overstayed his welcome, and now his doofus son's trying to get into the business. Alistair's above this, but he's trying to be a good guy. Now with this Instagram post, either he continues to be a good guy and he's going to start fucking murdering people, which I'm hoping him and another character start murdering people, and we'll get to her in a little bit. Or he's going to be a heel and he's going to be like, well, you betrayed me, Dominic, because you should have had my back. I was trying to save you. Where was anybody to save me? Fuck you guys. And I hate the heel idea, but I can vibe with the babyface idea. How do you feel about all this, man? Because I really hate it. And I hate that my only hope is something that hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hate that you're pinning your hope on an Instagram post at all. I feel like anything that happens on social media, if it doesn't get acknowledged on WWE TV, we should just pretend that it isn't even a part of canon.
Yeah. Because if things were a part of canon, the amazing Twitter promos that guys like Chad Gable do on Twitter would be getting acknowledged on the program, and that hasn't happened yet. Which, once again, not to be that guy, but again, I see performers taking responsibility for their characters, and WWE's being like, yeah, we see you, but no. And, I hate it. I fucking hate it. I hate this. And at first I was excited for the storyline. I really was. I'm like, oh my God, Aleister Black is mixing it up with the top heel, and this is great for Murphy because he's associating with the top heel. And I don't feel like this program has elevated anybody. This program,
if anybody's position on the card has been affected by this, it's been Seth, who went from a main eventer to a mid-carder again.
Yeah. So if anything, it's only caused a demotion. That this program hasn't elevated anyone. Hell, even in kayfabe terms, this program did nothing for Ray because he never got his comeuppance on Seth. He lost the eye versus eye match. Yep. And we're still tormenting the man's family. Move the fuck on. I don't care. I hate this program,
it is. That's another really good point that you might not have even intended to make. It's really weird that the so-called Monday Night Messiah has been so focused on this one thing. You're supposed to be the Monday Night Messiah. You're supposed to be trying to make Monday Night Raw better as a whole. And yet all you really seem to care about is tormenting one dude and his family, and that's it.
No, you have to understand. I have to traumatize them for the greater good.
What's the greater good, Seth? Okay, well, when are we going to see? Oh, you'll know when you see it. Oh, so you're just talking out your ass. That's great.
And Paul again, and he said this before. So you're saying that you're hoping that something bad happening leads into something good happening. And you know what, Paul? You're absolutely right to call me out on that. My umbrage isn't with you. But my thing is that WWE is so fucking pitiful with their flagship show. What else am I supposed to do? Because that's really the thing. Because what they're giving me doesn't resonate with me. So conjecture is all that I have.
Yeah.
Which, again, doesn't make you wrong, Paul. I cannot stress that enough. I just hate the writing where that's all that I have. They don't give me anything else. And Abel just said, I give credit to Aleister for trying to keep people's interest in his character, but like Ashton said, it's just Instagram. If it was vignettes, it'd be more helpful. Yeah, Aleister's doing the work to keep his character interesting, one, because he should anyway. I mean, that should always fall on him to some degree. But when he's actively being sabotaged, hey, you know how in NXT, you were this menacing guy that, even Tommaso Ciampa you fought your heart out against, and when people like Johnny Gargano fucked with you, you made them pay a penance? Yeah, we're going to have you get your eye taken out by protecting some kid that has no business being in the business because he hasn't been formally broken into it. Fucking hell, you're killing this dude. He was, again, another license to print money, and you're fucking around like you did with Drew. I'm amazed they even got there with Drew, honestly, dude. Because remember, yeah.
I'm realizing something that I feel like we kind of expected to be way better at a certain point. The NXT Championship has a fucking terrible conversion rate into world champions on the main roster. Like, Seth Rollins, yes. Big E, no. Bo Dallas, no. Adrian Neville, no. Sami Zayn, no. Kevin Owens and Finn Balor, yes and yes. Samoa Joe, no. Nakamura, no. Rude, no. McIntyre, yes. Andrade, no. Black, no. Ciampa hasn't been called up yet. Gargano hasn't been called up yet. Cole hasn't been called up yet. Like, there have literally only been 4 dudes out of the 17 to hold the NXT Championship that have also held a world title on the main roster. The NXT Championship doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, dude, holy fuck. Holy fuck, what? God damn, man. I hate it. I feel like Black should have been a main event guy.
Yeah.
He had the look.
Well, we felt like Big E should have been a main event guy. We felt like Sami Zayn could have been a main event guy. We definitely felt like Joe and Nakamura should have been main event guys. Hell, there was even a point that we felt like Bobby Roode could have been a main event heel. And Andrade, absolutely. Like, a lot of the guys that held the NXT Championship, we felt like could have been or should have been main event on the main roster. And Vince just doesn't get it.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and that's what it comes down to.
That's the thing, dude. Big E won officially the NXT Championship on January 9th of 2013. He debuted, though, on the main roster as Dolph Ziggler's heavy before then. He debuted on Raw on December 17th, 2012. And so if it's taken him, he hasn't won a world title yet. And I don't think he's going to win a world title within the next month. So I'm assuming it's probably safe to say that it's taken him at least 8 years to reach world champion status. And he's the first NXT champion on the list that hasn't held a world title, because Seth was the first champion, but he's held plenty of world titles. Big E was next after Rollins, and Big E hasn't held shit other than tag gold, and I think he held the IC title once or twice. So, like, Big E is like that next in line in the NXT title lineage to get a world title run, and it looks like they're kind of gearing up to give him that kind of push, but I'm also wondering if they're going to get cold feet at the last minute and just have him lose his title opportunity and just be like, oh, Kofi was the main eventer all along, guys, no big deal. But then Bo's never going to win. Neville's never going to win. He's not even in the company anymore. Zayn is never going to win because he barely fucking wrestles at this point. Joe and Nakamura are both probably never going to win because of their ages, respectively. Rude, same thing. Like, McIntyre is like the last hope, and then we've got Almas, Black, and then a bunch of guys that haven't been called up yet. Like, Almas and Black are the 2 guys in the NXT Championship lineage that, in our minds, almost revived that title, because prior to them, them and Drew, it was a bunch of fucking 40-year-old guys, like late 30s, early 40s, trading the title back and forth, because it was fucking Balor, Joe, Nakamura, Rude. And Rude had his fucking reign of terror. And then Drew saved us all. And then Andrade won, and we all freaked the fuck out. He had his amazing match with Gargano. And then Black won, and we were all happy for him too. And then we get to, like, the guys that are still in NXT. Dude, if you win the NXT Championship, it doesn't mean shit. You might be a main eventer of the main roster, but more likely you won't be.
Yeah, that's really a shame.
Because we've always thought of the NXT Championship as, like, the chosen people. Like, if you win the NXT title, you are sort of in favor with management, and you're probably going to get protected by Triple H once you get to the main roster, and you're going to be a big deal. But, like, that straight up turned out to be not true.
Yeah. That's a goddamn shame, man. Because I can't tell you how excited I was for Aleister Black. And I don't know, I say I'm never going to get excited again, and that's probably a lie. We can all be honest about it. But I was excited at the time for Black to get called up, because I'm like, dude, he looks so good. And he can do it all, and this menacing look. And I just, Now, again, the beautiful thing and the tragic thing about wrestling is you can kill a character like that, but you can also, like, get a person on fire like that. Am I saying Black is dead in the water? I don't even know if I believe in truly dead in the water in wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, if the writing's really good, it's amazing the things you can bring back to life.
And that's the thing with WWE is they can turn a switch on like that. We saw it last year at WrestleMania. They decided it was Kofi's time, and it took 2 months for them to turn him into the biggest story in wrestling.
Exactly. So I don't know if I truly believe in this idea of like dead in the water. But, you know, at the same time, that doesn't mean that you have to go out of your way to kill everything just to kind of show off when you want to. Yep. You know? Maybe things that are already great, I don't know, we can just kind of run with that.
Well, and that's the other problem, too, is that Vince is so fucking indecisive and, you know, he just makes decisions that change people's lives on a whim. He'll see Aleister Black cut a promo that he thinks goes a little too long or is a little too wordy, or, you know, if Black does if he does something that like he feels like he's moving weird or something, anything little like that could make Vince completely lose interest in a character, and that ruins their fucking career, ruins their push, right? Like, we've literally heard this story about how he like saw Big E lift something once, and that made him decide that Big E was going to be the next face of the company, and at some point down the line something else happened that made him change his mind. Like, something else happened like that with Ryback too, I think. Like, Vince goes all in on somebody and decides to start giving them like the start of a push that would eventually lead them to being the big deal face of the company type. But then like halfway into that push, he sees something else in them that makes him realize that they're not all cracked up, all that he's cracked them up to be, and he backs down and he fucks, so, you know, he stops trying with them and he loses interest. Like, Vince, it's funny because we always hear wrestling fans being made fun of for, oh, you're all so fickle, you're always so interested in the newest toy and, you know, the flavor of the month or whatever. Vince McMahon's the same fucking way. The difference is he has the power to do something about it.
Yeah, somebody needs to take the fucking keys away from him, dude. Because it's ridiculous to me, like, that this keeps happening with acts that we care about. So, yeah, to bring the circle back, because I want to promise you guys we didn't lose the thread, Aleister getting his eye taken out. I mean, I guess this was kind of a promotion for Murphy, because I remember Seth screaming at him, like, do you want this? Do you want this? How bad do you want this? You know, that kind of thing. So I guess Murphy's in a higher rank within the discipleship. I don't know. And I like Murphy, so good for the dude. Definitely good for the dude, you know, that he's got this going on for himself. But, you know, I just wish it didn't have to come at fucking Aleister's expense. And really,
well, and that's the other thing, too, is that we've talked about before, like, you were excited about Murphy potentially turning on Seth, but then I was just like, I would be if I had any faith in him looking good against Seth at all, but I'm sure that they'll just have a fucking 15-minute standard WWE match with Aleister or with Seth going over, because Murphy can never look stronger than those like borderline main event guys, and Seth is one of them, and at the time Aleister was one of them too when they had their like best of 5 series or whatever it was, and it just seems like it, you know, Aleister's been demoted since then, but Murphy is kind of perpetually in that like lower mid-card status where like he'll always get a chance to look good against guys that are higher up in the card, but he'll never actually beat them. Yeah. Because I was even going to say, if you're going to have these guys feud, at least up the stakes. Like that's why I loved, you know, I hate to use this feud because it was so long ago, and of course I would, but that's why I loved a feud like John Morrison and Sheamus. Like, it was actually a brilliantly structured feud. Morrison stands up to Sheamus for picking on Santino, so you take a lower card story and you elevate it. Had a match at Survivor Series, Morrison wins. Sheamus wins King of the Ring, which did fuck all for his career, but that's beside the point. He beat Jomo in the finals. They keep brawling. They keep fighting each other. Then they have the ladder match at TLC. You know what the prize was? Winner gets a shot at the WWE title. So you start by taking this lower card story, you dovetail it into a story pushing these guys to the upper mid card and getting a shot at the title. I would like them to do the same, at least with Aleister and Murphy. If you're going to have these guys keep feuding, up the fucking stakes. How about, since we're doing Payback, right, like a week after SummerSlam, how about we do Aleister Murphy at SummerSlam, 2 out of 3 falls. Winner of that gets a shot at the WWE title at Payback. That would immediately get me interested in both guys, and especially get me interested in them wrestling for the 50th time. Well, and that also kind of brings me back to Andrade, too, because Andrade was the one that beat Drew for the title in NXT. So if he could do that, what was that, like 4 or 5 years ago? It was in 2017, so that was only 3 years ago. So if Andrade can beat Drew 3 years ago in NXT, who the fuck is to say he couldn't do it again now on the main roster? Has Drew really changed that much over the course of the last 3 years? He's been in WWE in his second run that whole time. Like, I feel like he hasn't really changed that much. It's just Vince has realized how great he is. Like, that's the only difference.
Yeah.
Again, so, like, why can't Andrade be the one? But again, we've already gotten Andrade get opportunities against Drew as champion, and not even necessarily title shots. I don't even remember if he's gotten a title shot yet, but he's had...
No, he hasn't. Yeah.
And he loses every single time. He doesn't even deserve a title shot because fucking writing says, oh, he actually secretly sucks.
Like, Vince really does show how much of wrestling does come down to the writing, because you could be the best in-ring work guys, and I feel like WWE has a very talented roster in-ring.
That's what I was saying earlier, is the TNA, the late 2000s TNA thing. They have this amazingly stacked roster with no fucking clue how to use it.
Because if they knew how to write it, dude...
Yeah.
Dude, if they knew how to write it, do you know the bliss that you and I would be feeling right now? Because Japanese wrestling, especially Stardom, is on lock.
Yep.
And then if WWE really got their shit together, dude, like, what would we complain about? Well, like, TWitWoW would be experiencing a golden period because it'd be like, you psyched to talk about wrestling? Fuck yeah, another great week. But it's like, not everybody's carrying the load. And no, who isn't carrying the load? The billionaires, because of course, the irony. It's too sweet. It's too sweet. So what came after this, man?
I think we're finally done talking about the stuff that we hated as far as Raw goes, and we could start talking about stuff that we either actively liked or just kind of were hopeful about and not angry about. Well, for example, Ruby Riott finally winning a match last week, beating Peyton Royce with Bianca Belair at ringside. That was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I love the genuine emotion she showed. As a character, wins and losses do matter. And she knows she's been losing, and so getting that win meant a lot to her. You know what would be really cool is if you really built her up to get, wins and wins. Now, I don't think it's going to happen this way for many reasons, because we're going to talk about the biggest stuff going on in the company, in a little bit, that being, Bayley and Sasha and Asuka and everybody in their orbit. But under different circumstances, which I feel like I always have to say that for Ruby, which is tragic, I feel like she could maybe start a bit of a winning streak all the way to facing the champion. And I'd love that. Like, I'd love a Ruby versus Sasha matchup with Ruby as this sympathetic, like, I literally had to claw, start my way at the bottom, beating people that are more known for being in a tag team just to get on the radar and then just beat these people. And it would also help if talents like, Charlotte and Nia were safer and more selfless in the ring, because then Ruby beating people like that would be a bigger deal, especially Charlotte, but I wouldn't want to take the chance. So, good win for her. It's just hard for me to get excited because, like, okay, well, what's Endgame for you? Because it seems like Endgame, the story they're trying to tell, is Ruby atoning for her past. Yeah. And a big part of that is reconciling with Liv Morgan. But here's the thing. Are you going to reconcile with her all the way that you two become women's tag team champions? Because I'd be into that. I'm not opposed to that. But, if you're not going to commit, right, then why should I fully care? Which is a shame because I adore Ruby. I think she's a sweetheart. But you guys have messed around with her so long, I don't even know how invested I should get in this. I mean, how do you feel about it?
I'm very apprehensive about the fact that they just don't seem to see anything in Ruby Riott when we all kind of agree that she's fucking incredible at her job and should probably be portrayed as one of the top 3 to 5 women on either brand. And when I say on either brand, what I really mean is even if you don't think that she's a top 3 to 5 woman in the company overall, given that the women's roster is supposed to be split down the middle, you could at least portray her as one of the top 3 to 5 women on one of the 2 brands. So you could still have another top 3 to 5 women on the other brand that would maybe rank ahead of her, but at least on whatever brand she's on, like, for example, she's on Raw, and this isn't even going to be counting Sasha and Bayley because they are only ever on Raw, or let me rephrase that, they're only ever supposed to be on Raw representing the tag division. They're the tag team champions, even though we know Sasha now is the Raw Women's Champion and there's this whole convoluted mess that's got to get taken care of. But trying to set that aside as best as possible, the actual people on the Raw roster, I would put Ruby number 2 behind Asuka now. I would have said Kyrie would have been 2, but she's not around anymore. So I would say Ruby's number 2, or at the very least number 3 behind Asuka and Shayna. You know,
Yeah,
that's like her range to me. You could put Bianca in that range too, and I think that would be fitting. But I think that Ruby should be portrayed as being on that level from like a power level standpoint. And instead, she's very clearly below Bianca because she's always losing to her on main event. She's below Liv Morgan. She lost to her multiple times after WrestleMania. She's, below Natalya easily. Like, I don't think that any of those make sense to me.
Don't make sense to me either. But again, to Ruby's credit, she's aware that she's lost that much.
Right.
And so her beating Peyton Royce, that cell, it's like that's protecting your character. And again, I'm really noticing that dichotomy between how they are written and presented by the overarching structure and how, I don't want to say go into business for themselves because that makes it seem like it's selfish and underhanded, but like what they do with their own characters. And Ruby's like, okay, well, if I'm going to be booked to lose, then when I do get the crumb, I'm going to sell the shit out of it just to kind of say, like, hey, my character knows what it's been through, and it's going to keep trucking until it gets something better. And I love her for that. I just wish WWE loved her for that, because that's the difference. I can't do anything about it. They can. And she absolutely should be a top babyface, especially with Kyrie gone. I just don't think they see that in her, which is crazy because she had double shoulder surgery, dealing with an extensive injury that she didn't treat for so long. And while she was injured, she was having better matches than most of the roster. And now she's healthy, and we're not tapping into that. It sucks. It sucks. So what came after this?
The only other thing on Raw that I want us to really worry about talking about is the Asuka, Kyrie, Sasha, Bayley stuff. So on the first episode of Raw after Extreme Rules, which was 720, we had Stephanie McMahon appearing on the Titantron because, of course, Stephanie McMahon is the queen of the women's division. And anytime anything ever happens that's significant, Stephanie has to be the one to announce it because she invented women's wrestling. Everyone knows that. So she sets up a match that happened then this week on 727 that was Asuka versus Sasha for the Raw Women's Championship, where neither one of them had champion's advantage. So if either one of them got disqualified or counted out, your opponent wins the title. That's it. It's that simple. I thought that was kind of fucking dumb, considering Sasha never officially won the title. I thought you should have basically said Asuka has champion's advantage, but Sasha does not. So if Sasha gets herself disqualified or counted out, Asuka retains. Or if Asuka gets disqualified or counted out, she still retains because she's still the rightful champion. Like, Sasha was not the correct champion. Sasha never technically officially won the title. So I thought that it should have been a one-way street favoring Asuka. But at the end of the day, what it really did was, by not making a stipulation that favored the actual champion, the rightful champion, what you then did was you made a stipulation that favored the unrightful champion, the wrong champion, the champion that was fraudulent, right? Because now Sasha could have, she obviously didn't actually go ahead and do this. Sasha could have gone out of her way to try and get Asuka to disqualify herself. She could have gone out of her way to try and win by countout, which actually, no, she fucking did. She won by countout. So Stephanie trying to sort of give Sasha Banks some kind of comeuppance ended up fucking Asuka over and helping Sasha win the title.
Way to go, Steph. Way to go.
This company's so fucking stupid sometimes.
And everything you just said, like how they didn't have to take the title off Asuka and everything, it is especially true given the finish they went with.
Yeah.
Like, they could have done everything they did if they did exactly what you said. And really, to me, I guess we all learned something today. Possession really is 9/10 of the law. God, kill me. So, yeah. I mean, I love these women. I adore them. But, of course, Stephanie is the one that's like the dip in the program because that makes absolutely no fucking sense. So, yeah, do we want to, like, dovetail this into talking about the match now? Or...
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, actually, let's talk about last week. We got Bayley versus Kyrie, and Kyrie fucking beat Bayley straight up. No help, clean as a whistle.
That match was so good.
It was.
I loved it. And really, I got to give credit to Bayley. Like, I will not stand down. And that's what I love about TWitWoW, because even if we have people we like more than the person we're giving praise to, we always give people props. I'm not the biggest Bayley fan, if I'm being truthful. Like, I've always been a bigger Sasha fan. I think Sasha's just my favorite of the four horsewomen, always has been. But I would say that, like, just with her selling, with her promos, with everything, I keep saying that I think Bayley is one of the best in the company right now. Hell, I go as far as that. I think Bayley's one of the best in women's wrestling in the world right now.
Yep.
I just feel like she's in a rhythm where everything she does is fucking gold. And she gave Kairi one of, if not absolutely, her best match on the main roster. I would even say it was better than the match she had with Sasha, and it doesn't hurt that they had like a straight-up finish, whereas before the Sasha match got thrown out. But yeah, I thought Bayley and Kairi's matchup was fantastic. And the finish, that counter to the Bayley to belly, God, I didn't know Kairi was that good at like the fucking counters and that smooth, because that looked so good. And Bayley sold the shock and Sasha sold the shock so well. And, and that's another thing. Like, I see it a little bit on my socials, but these people that are like, oh, push somebody else, the four horsemen are overexposed. No, overexposed means you're getting big opportunities and your abilities can't rise to them, so everybody's seeing that you have deficiencies.
Do you want to know whose photos show up in the dictionary when you look up the word overexposed?
Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax.
And Alexa Bliss. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say Charlotte and Alexa. You threw Nia in there. We can have 3 photos. That works. But those 3 in particular. And I'll throw in a 4th name, Ronda Rousey, too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, granted, none of them I would say are overexposed right now, as of this moment, like over the course of these 2 weeks. I wouldn't say any of those 4 women in particular were completely overexposed. But just historically, what we've seen in WWE, the most recent examples of women being overexposed are those 4 in particular. Charlotte, Alexa, Nia, Ronda.
Fucking Ronda. You got me to mess up. Good job. Shut up, Ronald. Nobody gives a shit. Yeah, Abel, I can understand why you'd say that, given how Kairi was.
I'm glad that you addressed what Abel said, because that honestly really chaps my ass. Because seriously, we got Asuka versus Sasha this week. Why did we not get Kairi challenging Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title either on last week's SmackDown or on Raw this week? What the fuck?
Okay. I just need to address. I love just some of the phrases you come out with, because I don't even know what it was recently, and I'm like, I've never heard people say that, and I've heard chaps my ass. Just the way you said that, it's like you're a non-oblivious Tobias. It's really amazing, actually.
I don't even know if that was a compliment or not.
Well, because we know how, like, the whole bit with Tobias is that he'll say things that the family will look at him and just be like, yikes, and he's just completely unaware. But I think
with his whole I blew myself thing, yeah.
Yeah, I will take that chubby and I will suck it up. But at least you know what emanates from your face, so I take comfort in that. But no, I agree with you, because I was expecting a title match too. Like, I was waiting, like, any minute now, and WWE.com never came out with anything, so it's like, oh, so we're not doing this. Because I would have understood, of course. Bayley retaining. I think it would have been a great notch in her title reign on Kairi's way out. Like, wow, she beat the girl that beat her, and we know how great Kairi is, and she's gotten the chance to show it.
Yeah, what would have made Asuka getting counted out so much more impactful?
What's that?
If Bayley was beating the shit out of Kairi after she already got stretchered out.
Yeah.
If Kairi challenging Bayley happened earlier on in the night, and Bayley beat her, and then Bayley and Sasha beat her down so bad that she had to get stretchered out, and then in the back, while Sasha and Asuka was happening, because they would transition right into that immediately, because Asuka would have to come in for the save, Bayley went after Kairi while she was on the stretcher. That is the kind of emotional pain that I could understand justifying Asuka basically forfeiting her championship to make sure it didn't happen.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, hell, Ember Moon straight up wanted Kairi's life to be threatened. Did you see what Ember Moon said about the whole segment?
I saw the headline, but I didn't read it, no.
She was like, I think she more or less said she felt like Kairi should have been threatened with a forklift or something. Like, Bailey should have, like, threatened to press the forklift down on her.
Right.
And, like, people were freaking out because it's like, my heart was already broken enough with her crying out for Asuka, you monster.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the thing, though, is, like, look, don't get me wrong, Bailey was beating Kyrie up pretty good, but she wasn't doing anything that was, like, ridiculously out of the ordinary. Like, last year, Roman Reigns almost had a fucking scaffold fall on him, and he didn't. Nobody really faced any real repercussions for that. And you expect me to feel like Asuka thinks it's worth giving up the Raw Women's title to go stop Bailey from throwing Kyrie into the fucking garage door a few times? Fuck off.
I mean, just imagine, though, the backlash if Asuka would have weighed her options, and she would have been like, Kyrie's on the way out. Lock in the Asuka lock, Sasha taps, and then she goes to rescue Kyrie.
Well, she wouldn't have had to deal with any repercussions because Kyrie wouldn't have been able to say anything to her.
Yeah, she would have been knocked out.
She would have been knocked out. We wouldn't have heard from her for the rest of the night, and then we would never have heard from her in WWE again because she was gone.
Yeah, you know, I get the emotional beats they were trying to go for, and I am, like, getting worked by them. I feel like the ladies, especially on social media, have done really well to sell this story, but I actually also low-key hate that phrase, you know, on social media. Like, all the pushing and the driving of stories should be happening on TV.
Yeah, that's my whole problem with fucking AEW is all the shit that they put on YouTube and Dark and social media and shit like that. It's like, no, if you want me to care about your storylines, let your storylines play out on your television show that is meant for your storylines.
Did you ever see, like, a Lucha Underground storyline furthered on Twitter?
No.
Because I never remember that happening.
Dude,
never.
I honestly, when anybody in Lucha Underground ever even interacted with people on Twitter, it surprised me and sometimes took me off guard, and sometimes I didn't even like it. Sometimes, like, oh, that's kind of fucking lame. But, like, they did it so infrequently that it didn't bother me, because a lot of the time, they would even do, like, Twitter interactions out of character. Like, Marty the Moth on Twitter is Martin Casaus. He goes by his real name on Twitter. He interacts with fans as, like, the way an actor would, not the way a fucking character in a TV show would.
Yeah, to be fair, I did get some in-character interactions with him. I'll never forget when I asked him who his wrestling influences were, and he named Serial Killers, which is still one of the best Twitter interactions I've ever had.
Yeah, but still, though, like, even that, like, it's less, we're going to build up a storyline through social media, and more, I'm going to just make my character more believable and more rich and more enriched through social media. That's fine. That's basically what Alistair did with his Instagram posts. All he really did there was enrich his own character, but it doesn't fucking matter if what he is saying doesn't get played out in some way on the television show.
Yeah.
Like when Marty says that his wrestling influencers serial killers, and then he literally abducts a woman and tortures her. Okay, I get it. It works.
Yeah, it's a great point, actually. Great point.
But if fucking Aleister Black says all this shit on Twitter and posts this moody avatar of him with one of his eyes blacked out with blood running down of the empty socket, okay, that looks cool, I guess, but now what are you going to do to follow up on it? Probably your ass kicked by Seth Rollins again.
But this time, while wearing an eye patch.
Yeah, oh boy.
Think about that, yeah. Didn't see that coming. So, Asuka chose friendship, and didn't really work out because Sasha wins by count out. She becomes the official champion.
Which is exciting. I'm not trying to say that Sasha and Bailey having literally all of the gold on the main roster isn't exciting at all, because it is exciting. But
absolutely.
I also don't like a proper SmackDown roster member holding a Raw title. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Unless we're gonna now officially say, okay, Sasha Banks is a Raw superstar now because she won the Raw Women's title, and as soon as she and Bailey drop the drop the women's tag titles, Sasha can't be on SmackDown anymore. I'd be down for that. I'd be cool with that. That would be a really interesting way to basically transfer somebody without doing a proper draft or a trade. That I'd be super down for. That'd be cool as hell. I would love that, especially because really both women's divisions need a little bit of a shake-up, and it seems like we're not going to get one until October, because I just saw earlier today that they're going to do a draft in October.
Yeah. Good luck with that if you still don't have a crowd.
Which I was going to say, dude, that's kind of hilarious too, because, like, isn't Survivor Series, which might as well be like brand Pride Month, literally 1 month later. So like, imagine you're The Miz, right? And you've been on SmackDown for 11 months, and then you get drafted over to Raw, and you're on Raw for a month, and you're expected to fight for it against Morrison.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. All right.
If that exact scenario played out too, dude, I would not be surprised one bit.
I wouldn't be surprised either now that you called it. Yeah, I would not. Yeah, not be surprised whatsoever by that. So, what came after this?
That's it for Raw, man. That's it.
Oh, thank goodness. So we're on to SmackDown now.
Yeah, we're on to SmackDown, and as far as SmackDown goes, you know, the big overarching story. Well, overarching. Is it arching or arcing? It's arcing, right?
I believe so.
Okay, the big overarching story that we'll talk about last was Alexa, Nikki, and Bayley, and Sasha somewhat. So that whole thing will be kind of the last thing that we talk about. And that also ties into the Firefly Funhouse and The Fiend. So we'll talk about that all last. So let's talk about, I guess, this whole Matt Riddle, King Corbin, King's Ransom thing that we've got going on. Riddle beat Nice in 2 minutes last week, called out Corbin. Corbin came out, issued a King's Ransom for whoever could take Riddle out. We didn't get any real follow-up on that last week. I think somebody thought about it and Riddle basically punked him out. But this week, did you know about this, John? Shorty G / Chad Gable turned heel.
Yeah. How are we feeling about it?
I mean, the thing is, what I like is that he's getting TV time again. What I don't like is that he's always going to be second fiddle to King Corbin as long as he's in this position.
I mean, I'm just going to be brutally honest. Doesn't matter. But I'm talking about the turn. I don't feel like the turn matters because, one, I agree with you. He's always going to be second fiddle to another heel that's higher up on the card for reasons that I don't understand because they're a proven anti-draw, but that's beside the point. And two, with undercard guys like this, we know what WWE does. They turn heel. Dude, honestly, given Gable's career trajectory in this fucking company, I wouldn't be surprised if they found him a new tag partner and he was back in the tag division again.
Cool Corbin.
Yeah. I could very easily see them take this exact thing, dovetail it into a tag team. When we beat the hell out of each other in King of the Ring and all of our matches, I developed a respect for Corbin and how he does business. Now that Gable's seen the light, this is an Olympian that understands that he doesn't have to pander to these people. We're going to be unstoppable. And then they go after the tag titles. But here's the thing, cool that they're on TV. Abel said something about Bianca Belair. That's like, I'll do anything. I'll put up with anything that gets her on TV. And that's totally fair. And, they want to make their money and they want to provide for themselves and their families. And I get
that's
all that. That's
low-key kind of how I feel about Rick Boogs, but move on.
Yeah, well, samesies. But I think, though, there comes a point where just pure television presence is the bare minimum. Yep. And you get sick of the bare minimum because, yes, I want these people to be able to pay the things they've got to pay because we live in a society. But I also want to see them do what they do better than anyone else and do it at the apex of their abilities.
Dude, I was literally about to say, do you know what I really would love to see? I would love to see Chad Gable get himself fired, pull a Daniel Bryan, go on the indies, just light the fucking world on fire, and get brought back a few months later due to fan demand and actually get pushed.
Yeah.
Literally just get fired just in time so that your 90-day no compete can run out right in time for a BOSJ. On fire in BOSJ. Maybe stick around long enough to do some other stuff with New Japan. I don't know. Maybe work some Impact. Maybe work some ROH. I don't really know. Obviously, it can't happen this year because of COVID and Trump and whatever. But just get yourself fired, go do amazing things, show everyone your worth, and then WWE comes crawling back and actually gives you something that you were never going to get prior.
I mean, Chad Gable is so much better than how he's been written more or less his entire WWE tenure, save for how he first came in. Yeah, his main roster tenure. And by the way, I know this might seem completely out of left field, but fuck people like JBL. That openly said on a Talking Smack or whatever, oh, I don't like that Ready, Willing, and Gable crap. It was a fucking catchphrase, you Stan Hansen wannabe. Go cry in the corner that you can never live up to the standards of your fucking idol. And that's the thing. This isn't me just demanding a push for another quote-unquote vanilla midget. The dude's got a personality. And it's like, oh, let's just make fun of his size and have him embrace it, which kudos to him, he's embraced it. But I've seen the Twitter promos. The dude can talk. That whole these ain't upsets thing that he did,
yeah,
fucking fantastic.
Again, though, another example of social media going literally nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate it. I hate it. So, like, he's so talented, and I want to care about him so much more than I do. But I don't even feel ambivalence anymore. Because remember, we clearly defined the term over a game of Rocket League. It's mixed feelings. It's not even ambivalence that I'm feeling anymore. It's straight up apathy. Yeah. I don't care about Chad Gable because you forced me not to care about Chad Gable. Yep. Because you told me in no uncertain terms that what you're doing with him now is what he's always going to be to you. And nothing more than that. So why should I stay on the ride? Because I'll pop every time I see a chaos theory.
So basically what you're saying is WWE's writing team has fuck you heat from you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You've stopped playing the game because you've realized that they're never going to give you what you want.
Yeah. I've stopped playing the game because here's the thing. You go to that Intercontinental title Fatal 4-Way, right? And we kind of touched on that a little bit with AJ being a fighting champion. No hate to Grand Metalik. Dude's fucking awesome. But, you know, like, I wanted Gable to win that. I wanted him in a mini program with AJ because after the whole these ain't upsets, he could have even cut a promo that said, you know, I hear Michael Cole because, hell, if Bayley and Sasha can interact with commentary, anybody can interact with commentary. And Sheamus has been outright threatening Michael Cole for fuck's sakes. So he could say flat out, if Michael Cole wants to talk about how I've been getting upsets over guys like Mojo, which you might even be low-key burying Mojo a little bit, but who gives a shit, then imagine how Michael Cole's going to feel when I beat the Intercontinental Champion. And you could have done something great because AJ was even putting Gable over in that Fatal 4-Way. He said he's tough, probably because AJ remembers the matches that he had with Gable when he was U.S. champion all those years ago. Remember when Talking Smack was still a thing? Christ.
Oh, God, I miss it every day.
Every day. And I'm not saying
I'm
that
sure Miz misses it every day, too.
Yeah, dude. That's a... No, already going down one rabbit hole, and I need to finish the trip. So I want to make perfectly clear that the fundamental problem with me isn't that Gable's turning heel. It's not like I'm saying, oh, you're missing out on a great babyface. I think he could be a great heel, too, the same way Kurt Angle was. The problem is you're not treating him like he's a Kurt Angle. You're not treating him like he's anything. A heel or a face turn, you know what I always say when well, not always, because it would get very repetitive, and I've only got 45 minutes. But what I'll say every now and again when I go to therapy, because I go to therapy once a week, I say, I know that I only get out of it as much as I put into it. You're only going to get as much out of your performers as much as you give them to work with. Chad Gable is so much better than how you're writing him. Put him in better programs. I'm sorry. And I don't give me the meritocratic bullshit because what else do you want to do? You're so, on top of everybody's social media. Punk told the story about how he said, oh, watch SmackDown, I shit my pants. And they're like, oh, Punk, you can't tweet that. So if you can monitor people's social media like that, you haven't seen the videos that Gable's been doing of him training, of Scratch and Claw when that was a thing, these ain't upsets. The dude's putting in the work. Is still in a fucking pandemic. He's still got this workhorse mindset. And it's like, oh, turn heel. Team up with Corbin. He's so much better than this. I want him to go to New Japan. I want him in a BOSJ. I want him to fucking feud with people. I think him versus Hiromu Takahashi could be a match of the year. But no, let's team him with the proven fucking anti-draw. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. What came after this?
I want Chad Gable versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Absolutely.
Hell.
Categorically fuck yeah.
If we could get him into a G1 somehow, Chad Gable versus Jeff Cobb.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd
Literal
be fucking
Olympians going to clash in pro wrestling.
Yeah, that would be fucking awesome. And hell, you could even fucking put them as a team. I don't give a shit. Cobb and Gable, that is.
Yep.
If you're just like, oh, he has tag team experience. Cool. But, I've seen what he can do in a tag team in WWE. I've seen it to the point where I saw him in a random fucking tag team with Robert Roode. I want to see it.
It wasn't even that random. They won the titles together. They were tag team champions at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, man.
Gable is kind of slowly becoming another Daniel Bryan in the sense that he constantly gets given chicken shit and finds a way to make it into chicken salad.
He'll find a way to make me care about him being heel. I guarantee you. If I give him my ears and my attention, he'll find a way to make me give a shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. That's that was kind of the early signs of Daniel Bryan when they just gave him absolute shit to work with, and he kept finding ways to make this absolute garbage content entertaining.
Yeah. So what came after this, man?
We're really not going in order. We're just kind of generally covering like overlapping stories. I guess next we can talk about Ms. TV with Naomi and eventually Lacey Evans joining them. Because I always really hate it when the WWE acknowledges a Twitter trend asking for more for a performer that loses a lot, because they always bury that performer as if to say, you lose a lot, therefore you're a shitty wrestler, even though in reality that's not the case, but they have to do it because it's kayfabe. I just hate the way they handle it every time.
Yeah. Kudos to Naomi. She tried to make the most out of this segment. I like that Jomo got his more Morrison thing in there, which I actually tweeted out because I'd like to see more Morrison in a singles context. I understood why he teamed with Miz to start because I always looked at this as like his final big run in the company. Kind of over it right now, not going to lie. I'd like to see him do other stuff. But, Naomi did well. Then Lacey came out, talked some heel shit. Then Naomi, shoved her or something, got the lipstick, in her mouth. Lacey's lipstick smeared all over her. Ha, 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 ha. End of the segment. So
wait, was there more than one lipstick smearing segment on that episode or on SmackDown in this? Because there was another one with Sonya and Mandy this week. So is that just a new thing that SmackDown thinks is a thing that women do to each other?
I guess.
This is what happens when women aren't in the white writing room.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Like you just, experienced a acute depression attack.
Dude, I don't know what it's been, because normally I'm more put together with this catch-up commentary, but I'm like, just kill me. I'm begging you through my size to kill me. Everything fucking hurts. I'm tired of existing.
Oh, my God.
I don't, dude. It sucks. Can we just all just say that it's because even the good stuff, and again, the really good stuff, let's be real, is the 2-woman power trip. Oh, they have all the gold. They're overexposed. Stop it. You're ruining it for everyone else, you mark. No, it's the only good thing we have because everything else is awful. I don't care. I'm happy for Naomi that she's taking advantage of this, and I'm so proud of her fans because I even did a few tweets with Naomi deserves better because fuck. We shouldn't have to tell you to care about your black talent. They should be able to get over on their own merits because they are good enough. And then
and they have to get over on their own merits because WWE never does anything to help them get over.
Yeah, and then Booker T's like, well, I was thinking to myself and all the shucky-ducky and the quacky-quacky that, Naomi's got to earn her respect. It's like she's been there a decade, dude. Sit the fuck down. Oh, God. I want to tear myself out of my own skin so I can be anywhere but here. This timeline sucks. This wrestling sucks.
I care so much about my personal space that I don't really care too much for the skin on my body.
No, I don't care for my skin and my eyes that have absorbed this just depressing stimuli that's
I don't know if
me.
I've ever heard you struggle to articulate anything more than you are right now.
I am literally tilting my fucking face off with this program. Okay? that is what's happening right now. I am tilting my fucking face off, and I hate it. I hate it. It's awful. It's just
you
so
might hate it, but it's
awful.
still entertaining as fuck for the rest of us.
You know what? That's actually a positive. I could be defensive and have the claws up, but no, somebody deserves to be entertained in all this. So Naomi,
I love that that's where you go.
and see, because let's be real here, so that I don't go completely crazy, and then you have to rein me in and be like, all right, come on, John. I'll show you that I haven't forgotten. We can talk about, because again, let's just be honest, because we've watched the product long fucking enough that we know the beats. How long, Ashton, if we're all being honest ourselves, do you really expect this mini push for Naomi to last? I already kind of gave the game away with mini.
Wait, first of all, what push? I'm not sensing a push at all.
Well, because, she did beat Lacey this week, to be fair.
Yeah,
so,
week after losing to her, so it's 50-50 looking.
Well, wait, did she lose to her? Because I thought last week was only the Miz TV, and we're only covering the 2 weeks. Did she even have a match with Lacey last week?
Last week was when okay, so 2 weeks after losing to her, because she lost to Lacey a week before the Miz TV, because they did the Miz TV in response to the Naomi deserves better hashtag, which was in itself response to Naomi losing to Lacey. So Naomi loses to Lacey, then goes on Miz TV, then beats Lacey. So it's still 50-50 booking.
True. I'm just let me be careful here. I'm just hoping that's an honest enough word, that result was more responsive, like, okay, we've acknowledged it, now we're going to kind of treat the movement of Naomi deserves better as kind of a kayfabe thing, like, that's what we planned all along, just like WrestleMania 30, because we're the smartest writers in the world. And it's not going to last. Your dreams are a lie. I want to look, honestly, and this might be the coolest thing I've said in a while, because I swear I was going to put it behind me, but these fuckers won't let me be nice. I want to look in the face of every child that's a Naomi fan, and I'm like, I'm not going to take away your hope, but just know that not all dreams are meant to come true, because they don't give a fuck about her. They'll push her. They'll give her a little mini push for 2, maybe 3 months. They'll have her get squashed to Bayley again, which I'm not even necessarily saying I disagree with, mind you. I just want to get ahead of that too. And then she's just going to be going back to doing karaoke segments. They do not care. You know why they do this?
Such bad taste, I feel like.
Yeah.
Just the karaoke segment. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Felt like we went back to 2006.
And again, with Abel, and God, that delightful face. He's saying Naomi has been on SmackDown for 4 straight weeks. And that's true, Abel. Again, people that get TV time in a business where, like, you get time, you get money. That's true.
But it comes back to what you were saying earlier. That's the bare minimum.
Exactly. On the consumer end, Abel, I would have to argue. And again, I do stress the consumer end. So Ashton, myself, you, Mark, Javaris, there has to be a qualitative element here. What kind of TV time are you getting? Because I'd say, hierarchically, a match is higher than a fucking karaoke segment. I'm sorry. Like, I get the principle of what you're saying, and I agree with the sentiment, but on the consumer end, there has to be a qualitative element. Because I love John Morrison, but if he was doing fucking spoof ads advertising his fucking Out of Your Mind fitness for 4 straight weeks, I mean, I'd be happy for him that he's getting that bread, right? But on a consumer end, I'd be like, so can I see a Starship Pain or, It's not.
I mean, that kind of feels like life with John Morrison right now, doesn't it? When was the last time? Well, I guess he did just kind of have a match, but I feel like he's another one that's just kind of floating. He's not really moving up the card at all. He's just kind of there.
I mean, he should be Universal Champion right now if it wasn't for Miz's fucking stupid face. So I'm not bitter. But no, like, I know I'm turning up and I'm getting a little crazy just because
but I agree with Mark. Being on TV isn't necessarily getting a push. Like, being on TV, like you said earlier, John, it's the bare minimum. Being on TV means that you're being acknowledged by the company that supposedly employs you.
Exactly. It's like, hey, you exist.
Congratulations, you're higher up on the totem pole than Zack Ryder was for most of his career. How much does that really say for you?
And how much does it say that even when you're on TV, now I know I'm dating myself here, but some acts can be on TV with the consistency of Naomi, and still one of the more interesting storylines in wrestling can be, where the hell is JTG? Who made like a career for like the end of it just being catering and then just tweeting, damn, shouldn't answer the phone because they finally remembered, oh, we hired him. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I know I'm like turning up and getting crazy, but like being coherent here just because I hate everything so much and I'm bored out of my fucking mind. They don't care about Naomi. They don't. It's going to be something new because you know what they do? They do it to appease us so that we shut up and then they could go back to doing what they want to do without protest.
Where's Kanye to talk about Vince McMahon does not care about black people?
Yeah. Oh, God. Let's not get into that.
We need that Kanye energy back. None of this fucking slavery was voluntary bullshit he's been on in the last few years.
Oh, God. Suppressing it. Political side intensifies. So, yeah, none of it matters. None of our dreams matter. This is wrestling now. Get a subscription to Stardom World.
Yes! That's the real... Well, yeah. If you can afford Stardom World, go for it. If you can afford Stardom World and DDT Universe, TJPW's Tokyo Princess is actually going to be streaming live to DDT Universe. The entire tournament will be streamed live on the days that it happens. Very excited about that.
And I would even though I don't agree with the booking recently, I would still say go and do New Japan World. Because, I mean, fuck, you know, you're going to find more gems there than you're finding fucking here.
Well, and yeah, since we're plugging men's wrestling too, on DDT Universe, which is what you need to watch TJPW, I mean, it says it right there, DDT's there, as well as Pro Wrestling Noah. They're both available on that service as well.
Yeah. And, yeah. And that, yeah.
And by the way, in case you were wondering, yeah, Japanese wrestling is our only fucking hope right now to actually see crowds, because we sure shit ain't getting them in America for a few more months, if not more than that.
Oh, thank you for signing up, Mark, because you are genuinely supporting alternatives and responsible alternatives that clean the ring, which, again, WWE maybe. I don't want to get us like a fucking libel suit.
Craig also said that he signed up for Stardom World today in the Discord.
You guys are going to fucking love the 5-star Grand Prix. It's going to be fucking nuts this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the point, guys, because I know there are people that like the UK wrestling scene or this wrestling scene. There is better stuff than this.
I honestly, all the shit coming out from Speaking Out, it made me be like, whew, glad I was never a BritWres fan.
Yeah, and for people that were BritWres fans, and I say this sincerely, I am sorry. I mean, it's something that needed to happen, so I don't apologize for the movement. But I can't imagine what a gut punch it is. Like, wow, I liked all these people and this is happening. But that doesn't change the fact that you should never stop looking for wrestling that fills the void if you just feel like this shit is just nothing but a bunch of fucking empty calories that don't fill you, metaphorically speaking. Because
well, and plus, speaking of Craig Skiff, since we mentioned him buying his subscription to Stardom World earlier, he just went on a Lucha Underground binge. If you live in the U.S., or if you can get a VPN that makes it look like you live in the U.S., Tubi TV has every episode of Lucha Underground available to watch for free. That's a strong recommend from both of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I feel like they would take a character like Naomi and they'd give her this otherworldly character, especially
Naomi would become a world champion eventually in Lucha Underground.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually fucking facts. I believe if they would have been able to have a legitimate run and legitimate backing, we'd have more female Lucha Underground champions by now. With the roster that they had, and I'm sure the women that they would have gotten. So, yeah, Naomi will probably get a mini push. We'll all rah, yay, yay. Maybe she'll even get a title match. It'll be a really, really good match, but she'll lose. And again, I'm not even saying she should win. I'm loving Bayley's reign right now, but I'm just saying this is more about appeasement than actually recognizing Naomi's value. That's really what I'm trying to say. And I think with that, if you have anything you want to say, if not, we can move on.
I think we can move on from that. I'm perfectly content with everything that you've said. Let's move on. And let's move on to this little Big E push. Actually, no, you know what? We'll save that for after the shit. Jeff Hardy and Sheamus is still fucking going on.
Okay.
They had a bar fight last week.
Did Sheamus win that or no?
Jeff won.
Okay, I thought he would.
Super Saiyan.
Of course he did.
Like he transformed into like the fully face painted version, like broken version of himself with like the clear contacts and shit.
Yeah. Oh man, fucking hell. Why? Why? I have, dude. I'm mentally broken, man. I don't know what else do you like. Sheamus. Here's the thing about Sheamus. When he was first doing the vignettes to come back, and this is, I know, was a difference between you and I. And once again, I should really just fucking listen to you. Me having my own opinions is dangerous. I'm really starting to think.
I don't want you to ever feel that way.
No, I'm fucking stupid. This is really what it's telling me is I'm fucking stupid because I'm like, they're doing the vignettes and I'm like, you know, not bad because I've seen like the Celtic workouts. He seems to be in great shape. Solid mid-card heel. And in a way, I guess they're trying to treat him that way, but they're doing stupid urine segments, dude. And I know that's beyond the pocket of what we're covering, but if we're talking about the feud, right, that was part of the feud.
And and that feud is still going. And, like, all of these feuds that have lasted more than, like, a month just feel like they've lasted for fucking years because of, like, the era that we're in right now. Like, I feel like WWE really needs to do a better job of kind of adapting with the times and, like, start having shorter, snappier feuds so that they don't feel like they last forever because, like I said earlier, each month feels like a year in COVID era.
Bro, I'm gonna say something really dickish here, and I want to apologize to everybody. And obviously, I have very personal roots to this. But do we have to keep doing storylines about Jeff Hardy's addiction? Because here's the thing. I don't even think you should do it anyway, even if you really had put them behind him. But he's still so touch and go with it, probably because he's a part of the same culture that makes him want to go to the drugs in the first place. Like, I'm sorry, because, look, I obviously feel like DEA is bullshit. War on drugs is bullshit. Incarceration is bullshit. So there are a lot of societal issues you'd have to get rid of. But I also think, like, on the more microcosmic level, individuating the problem somewhat, you have to get out of the culture that pushes you to drugs in the first place.
Yep.
And, like, he's still getting banged up. So what do you want to do when you get banged up? Make the pain go away. How do you make the pain go away? Painkillers. What are painkillers? Revolving fucking door. Like, I'm tired of them talking about his addiction, only for Jeff to still have a problem.
I fully appreciate the argument that you're making, but can we just acknowledge Abel's fucking incredible joke in chat for a second?
Yes. Yes, because that's amazing. That's the best thing to come out of this whole feud, unironically. The best thing to come out of this whole feud was that line. Abel, if you were here right now, I would hug you so much. You'd probably be a bit grossed out because I am kind of sweaty, but, like, I don't know. I'm a man, you're a man, let's fucking do it, because that was beautiful. I think that returned some of my sanity to me. I got 10 EXP sanity. Fucking hooray. But no, like...
It's like you just ate a few flowers, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Abel, I've already called Abel, like, male Kyrie Sane to me. Like, he's the Kyrie that I have left, now that she's left WWE, and we don't know if she's even going to, like, wrestle or whatever. So, got to hold tight to that. But, yeah, that's really what I'm trying to say here is, like, and again... I have a personal background with addiction. You know, my father's still hooked on heroin to this day. He's going to be like 62 in 11 days. Still hooked on heroin for like decades.
How is that man still living?
It's a question that I despairingly ask the universe every day. But, you know, I don't want them to get that personal, especially because here's the thing. I don't even know if I would want Lucha Underground that does brilliant stories on trauma and this and that to touch it. And even then, though, they'd be the ones I trust the most, though, is the thing. Because I think they know how to handle really intense subjects with sensitivity and nuance. With this, though, I mean, come on, dude. Where's the sensitivity and nuance about addiction when you're doing a fucking drug test segment when they already perfected it with Jericho and Punk? And then you're going to do fucking the fucking apple juice to the face spot. I mean, Jesus, I mean, because, dude, if that's Jeff Hardy's urine, I need to introduce you to a group called Hydro Homies, man. And, like...
This dude needs to get some fucking water in his system. This dude's body is like a goddamn prune.
Dude, we need to get you on that gallon-a-day regimen, motherfucker. Because, like, Jesus Christ. So, yeah. I don't like it. I think it touches on things that WWE has no business touching on, which is why, in hindsight, I know how distraught Sonya and Mandy were. Like, but we want an LGBT story. I know you did, and you would have killed it personally. I believe in you guys enough how much it mattered to you. I don't trust them. I don't fucking trust them with shit. So, yeah, they can fuck off with this. They're both old. They shouldn't be interacting with each other. I don't even know who I would move Sheamus onto, but I was wrong the whole time. I thought Sheamus could honestly be an asset at this stage of his career again. Looked to be in great shape. Maybe even give him a mini push just to legitimize the world champion, whoever it was. Because honestly, dude, I even feel like, because people don't really seem to give a fuck about Braun anyway right now as champion.
No.
I even feel like a Sheamus Braun feud as a mini program would have been better than this for Sheamus.
Maybe.
And Hardy, you know who Hardy could work with that I trust? Work with fucking AJ. When Kurt Angle was like breaking down, he said, you work with AJ. AJ does all the work. You don't have to do anything.
Yep.
AJ.
That's our boy. You know who else he could have worked with? Chad Gable.
Dude, yeah, exactly. Like, if you wanted Jeff to be in higher profile stuff to kind of tell the story of a comeback, put him with fucking AJ to do the fucking carry job, which that man's so...
That just made me realize Vince has a younger future AJ Styles on his roster, and he doesn't appreciate what he has. Like, that's what Chad Gable could be for you. Chad Gable could literally be a homegrown AJ Styles, and you're just like, yeah, but he's short though. Like, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, bro.
And you even mentioned before, he's not even that short. He's like average male height in the U.S.
Exactly. But
Vince is just such a fucking size queen.
But yeah, like, I honestly feel like you should have had Jeff feuding with AJ. Again, both mini programs for both guys. And you should have had Sheamus do something with Braun, because I feel like that Haas fight would have been more entertaining. The bro kick versus the power slam could have been decent enough. And instead, you've got Braun still doing stuff with the Fiend, which I'm not even saying is bad. I actually really love the step they took with it, which we'll get in a little bit. But you're having Sheamus work with Hardy, and nobody cares. I mean, I don't want to project, but I'm guessing nobody in this chat
dude,
cares.
but that's
please.
the very problem, though, is if you go online and you look up Sheamus and Jeff Hardy, you're going to see plenty of people who are genuinely invested in this storyline.
And I can't take it out on them, because we always say, like what you want to like. So I am genuinely happy it's resonating with some people. I should just keep it honest. I don't care. Because I can speak on that with authority. I don't care. I think it sucks. I think it's boring. I want to change the channel. Well, technically, I want to change tabs, because I watch it on my computer all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Makes me want to tab out. Yeah, man. Yeah. It doesn't grip me. I know it doesn't grip you either. And it's really sad, man. It's really sad that I honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really do feel like they're wasting Sheamus and Jeff Hardy by them working with each other. That's, I guess, really what
that's me, so. Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt about every Randy Orton program for the last 6 months.
Yeah. Oh my God. So what else is there to talk? Please, something positive, right? There had to be something good that happened here, right?
Yeah. That's the only other, like, really shitty thing that I think we have to talk about. Next up, let's talk about the IC title picture. We had Grand Metalik earning an Intercontinental Championship opportunity by pinning Shorty G in a 4-way match, also involving Lince Dorado and Drew Gulak last week. And then that championship match happened this week.
So what did you think about it?
It was pretty good. I kind of had higher expectations. I thought the match would be better than it ended up being. Don't get me wrong, the match still ended up being good, but I'm thinking like, oh man, Grand Metalik, the former fucking Mascara Dorada. I'm thinking this is going to be dope. This is going to be crazy good. These guys are going to go out there and they're going to show what they could do in New Japan. And then they just kind of had a WWE match, and I was like, oh, okay, this is disappointing. And AJ won with the calf slicer, which is cool, but like, again, I was kind of hoping for like a slick reversal into a Styles Clash, and that didn't happen either.
Yeah, I mean, everything was, I guess, okay, but yeah, I'm kind of.
I think that you could even make the argument that this match is the problem with WWE, because it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't something that made me really keep my eyes open and be like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
When it could,
yeah.
If it would have happened in just about any other company, it would have been.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I really got nothing else to say about this. It happened. AJ's still champion. I'm just curious to see who the next one's going to be. So, I guess we can move on.
If we're moving on, let's talk about Big E.
I'm excited about this, but I want you to go first on this again, because I feel like I've been doing a lot of complaining, and we just need another voice in the room. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of complaining, but this is something that neither one of us is going to complain about, so I figured you might want to go first.
I love how they set this up, because Woods is still genuinely injured. You could say that Kofi, kayfabe got banged up, because the spot he took in that match was nasty, so I can readily believe it. It's not even a hard sell.
Yeah.
And Kofi says, I love this faction, dude, because Kofi says, look, man, you have been supporting us from the very beginning, and, it's your time, man. It's your time. And, yeah, just go out and do it, man. We got your back. We got your back. And Big E's like, thank you, man. Well, no, because I'm just trying to think about what they were saying here. Because, no, he said, thank you, man, and, put your meat on my meat, man, and they hugged it out. And I thought that was great. And then I think this week, right, he beat The Miz in a one-on-one match.
Yeah. And it was like, I don't know. I don't know how much I like that the match went as long as it did. Because let me actually pull up the exact timestamp. Yeah, okay, so here it is. It was a 14-minute match. And, to me, if you just look at Big E and The Miz, that match shouldn't go more than 7 minutes. Big E should be handing him his, if you're gonna finally start booking Big E to be as powerful as he looks, that match should be basically a very one-sided exhibition match. That match should be Big E showing off his power, getting his shit in, Miz maybe having a hope spot, and Big E shutting that shit down and winning, and that's it. But now,
I agree.
The fact that the match went 14 minutes tells me that they're not really all that serious about Big E being main event pushed.
Yeah, I could see why you'd make that argument.
Yeah, because like with Kofi, I get the way that they pushed him. With Kofi, they pushed him as like this underdog, sort of scrappy babyface, and like that works for him because he's such a small dude. Like he's probably the lightest World Heavyweight Champion ever, even including Ray when he won that title, because of how slight of a frame he has. But like Big E looks like he could fucking destroy people. Big E, it's like one of those things where, like I said, if WWE would start booking him the way that he looks, he would be such an easily believable main eventer. And it just doesn't seem like they're going in that direction to me.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because I know like on Twitter when it really seemed like they did the segment where Big E was going to go off on his own and like have the singles run for a bit, with Kofi's support. Everybody on Twitter was like, I want Big E versus Braun at SummerSlam. Fuck the Fiend. Like I saw a lot of people wanting Big E to get the Rocket right away. Now I didn't want to go that far immediately. I did want Big E to have a genuine story. I think he's worth a genuine story. But if they're not even going to go that route, I feel really bad for all the Big E's fans that like are getting their balls tickled a little bit here. Because it's like, well, maybe Intercontinental title like that. Because honestly, dude, and I hate to say this because I do think Big E can be a world champion, but I wasn't even thinking world title with Big E. I was thinking that the end game would be him versus AJ maybe at SummerSlam.
I see Big E and I see superhero. I see Big E and I'm thinking like this dude is a fucking superhero. This dude can beat the Fiend believably, and I would be into it.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it too, but I just don't know if WWE believes it or if they're like going to do it. That's why
that's my problem though, is that they don't seem to,
Yeah, which is why I felt like Endgame, even when the segment was like first done with him and Kofi, I thought like, oh, okay, so in their minds of giving Big E his nod would be the Intercontinental title, him being the one to beat AJ. Right. That's what I was thinking the whole time. But what I'm saying is like I see a lot of fans that like really see the world title in Big E. You just said I think superhero that could beat the Fiend. I agree. And it's just I think we're all going to be in for a rude awakening when WWE's just like, nah. And it's just like, but wait, no, he can, nah. And it's just like, no, give it to us. And they're not going to, because why would they? Because
and again, the nah.
Yeah. It's really just like, it's not even malicious. It's just like, I don't see it. But
yeah,
Corbin,
we appreciate the way you feel. We just disagree, and we're the ones that are in control. So fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. But meanwhile, Corbin, get ready to feud with Braun. Corbin, he doesn't even do ratings. I'm part of a faction that's been one of the top merch sellers for years. Yeah, still not gonna happen.
Oh no, yeah, dude. That's honestly though, that's how I feel about Big E. I feel like the Big E looks like a superhero. The Big E to me is a guy that could believably beat anybody on the roster, period. He could beat Braun believably, he could beat The Fiend believably, he could beat Brock believably if they would build him correctly because of the way that he looks and because he's got this larger-than-life charisma and personality. And they are just completely oblivious to it, I feel like. I feel like they just don't get it with him at all because he's silly and goofy. But like, okay, he's Black John Cena. Push him as the way that you push John Cena. Let him cut the same type of promos that Cena used to cut and watch the fucking dollars roll in.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish they'd have that thought process because apparently people in chat were like, he rolled down the ramp, which I mean, classic.
Yeah, dude, he did. He literally, like the way that you roll down a hill when you're a child, that's how he rolled down the ramp. Like straight up, like he was planking and he just rolled like a fucking log down the ramp. And it was like, it's like he's goofy and he's silly, but like he's also like one of the strongest actual people in the universe right now. And he almost has something going on for him that almost reminds me of Mr. Mason booking that we heard from Podswallow at one time, that they wanted to turn Mason Ryan into like almost like a Mr. Rogers type character.
Yeah.
Where like he's like super sweet and super nice, and he's like genuinely cares about people and the fans and their families and stuff like that. But the bell rings and suddenly he looks the way he does, and he can literally just destroy people with minimal effort. And but like also like he breaks on one. He doesn't even like stretch any rules, much less break any. Like he's this really clean wrestler because he doesn't need to cheat, because look at him. Like the same thing applies to Big E.
Yeah, exactly. He won with a stretch muffler apparently, which I think is cool as fuck.
Yeah, he did.
Like
he won with a stretch muffler. It looked great too. It looked great, and it was like, it wasn't just like, okay, I'm gonna get you in a stretch muffler and like stretch you out. He stood up and was like, the Miz was dangling by his leg. It looked so painful. Miz was like flailing around trying to find a place to tap out on.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see him do that to the Fiend.
Yeah.
Or fucking Brock. Like, get him in there with the hosses, man.
Yep.
I want it to happen. I don't know. Maybe WWE will surprise me. That'd be nice. That'd be really nice. What came after this?
What came after this? Let's see. I think now might be the time to get into the big stuff. Let me just give it one last kind of glance. There's that. We talked about that already. We talked about that. Yeah. Let's get into the main event of this week's SmackDown, which is kind of trailing off of last week's opener, because last week's opener was Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross for the right to challenge Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And this whole thing was set up by them both coming out and talking about how they wanted a title shot and stuff. And Bayley, I think it was actually Sasha that might have been the one that said, "Okay, well, you're gonna face." And I think this is the kind of funny thing too. Former Raw Women's Champion, the first or one of the, a former SmackDown Women's Champion, all these accolades, and I'm thinking she's gonna name. I think it must have been Bayley talking, because I thought she was gonna name Sasha, but then she said that she was a former SmackDown Women's Champion, and I was like, oh. Sasha's never held the SmackDown Women's title before. And then she said, and a future Hall of Famer, and I was like, who the hell is she talking about? And then it just turned out to be fucking Alexa Bliss. So like now we're just expected to accept that Alexa Bliss is a future Hall of Famer, and that she's so much of a lock to be a future Hall of Famer that even women that don't like her in kayfabe have accepted it already.
Isn't that great? Yeah. So yeah, see, that's the one downside to Bayley having such a long title reign in the midst of a pandemic, and just the writing and everything, is that like it's a revolving door of challengers. Like, I've beaten you people already. So they do the whole Alexa Nikki matchup, which seems like it's going to be laying the foundation for tension in the relationship, because Nikki wins. I think she caught Bliss in a cradle, if I'm not mistaken. So she caught her.
Yeah, well, yeah, dude, she was selling her ribs the whole match, and it looked like Alexa was coming in to check on her, and she rolled her up. So Nikki, not really full-blown heel, but definitely being sneaky to win the match.
Yeah. And then they kind of, shook hands, because Alexa was like looking surprised, and I think they even had an exclusive where they hugged it out. Yeah. So then Nikki gets another shot. Now, I'll be honest, the match that they had this past Friday, just yesterday, I liked it better than their pay-per-view match, and I thought they had a great ending sequence, trading pins and shit. I like that Bayley won clean. Yeah, and Nikki went for the backslide, and Bayley just kind of rolled up out of it, locked her in, got her into the arm trap, headlock driver, and won with it, and that was just it. It was a clean as a whistle win, just like the way Kyrie beat Bayley the week before. Yeah, dude, I loved how she transitioned from escaping the backslide to trapping the arm and doing the arm trap headlock. I watched that. I probably watched that finish in GIF form like 5 or 6 times. She's on top of her game right now, dude. On top of her fucking game right now. Did you see the interaction she had with Punk, by the way? Oh, Bayley had an interaction with Punk. Yeah, because in fact you should go see it for yourself, because I'd like your live reactions. I think you wouldn't have to scroll down that far. I don't think. Let's see. CM Punk with replies. What does CM Punk have to say to Bayley? Let's see. Let me find it.
or attempt to find it. He's been tweeting a lot about the Blackhawks lately.
Oh, actually, I kind of sent you on a wrong path. Punk acknowledged Bailey, but it actually came. You know what? I'm just gonna post it in the fucking chat. That's easier for everybody. Just give me a second.
Is it literally just him tweeting Pam-demic?
Yeah, because somebody asked, like, oh, if 2011 was the summer of Punk, if CM Punk is the summer of Punk, what should we call it the summer of 2020? The summer of Gold, the summer of BB, the summer of Two Belts? And then Punk said Pam-demic. And then Bailey quote tweeted that with, "You're the smartest and coolest man." So,
that's cute.
But I loved it, though. Kudos to CM Punk, because that's clever as shit. Pam-demic. Like, if it wasn't insensitive, I would want that on a shirt, honestly. If we had handled this any better, I'd be like, maybe we could get away with a shirt. But it's been so bad. I'm like, no, lawsuit. And I'm just like, no, but it's really cool. So, yeah, and I agree. Like, this woman has been thriving in the midst of a pandemic. So, I don't know. And I feel like women's wrestling is still doing strong viewership. I don't think that's changed. So, Bailey's a part of a really great era, and she's actively contributing to its greatness. Like, if you're a Bailey fan, you're getting fucking spoiled right now, because titles are just props. Where you're getting spoiled is how Bailey is making those titles look, because her character.
Yeah, the fact that Bailey is getting a shit ton of TV time, a lot of match time, and a lot of promo time. Period.
Yeah.
Capitalizing on every minute of it, every second of it. She's capitalizing on it.
It's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. I love watching her. I love watching her do what she does. Watching Bailey do what she does is like quintessentially the best part of wrestling. Because you see a character that's confident, a character that, just to expound upon your point because you said it so well, owns every minute of TV time, like chews up the scenery in the best way, and like works with the scenery in the best way. Like, I love that performers like Bailey see no crowds as an opportunity, because it's like, oh my God, if the arena was kind of a stage before to work with, now it really is, because I don't have to worry about the third man going into business for themselves, because we always say the crowd's the third man. I don't have to worry about the crowd going into business for themselves, because the crowd's a bunch of plants. So I completely own the stage, and if I completely own the stage, what can I do with it? And the way
I also find it a little bit odd that Bailey and Sasha have really been the only ones to take advantage of the fact that there's no crowd noise, because they're the only ones that have really been using banter to make their segments more interesting. And it's not even just banter with their opponents. They've been bantering, and especially Bailey, with commentary.
Yeah.
Nobody else has been doing that. Nobody else in the no crowd era has taken advantage of the lack of a crowd better than Bailey and to a lesser degree, Sasha.
Yeah. I love them for it. That would be the only, like, I love babyface Kevin Owens, but I would hope that heel Kevin Owens, if they would turn him back, would be doing the same thing they were doing and just jaw-jacking with everybody. Yep. And that would be the only saving grace of it is, oh my God, he's not getting drowned out by these fucking annoying people trying to go into business for themselves. He's really able to do it because it's fucking, like, I really think that kayfabe, I would love if they just broke Michael Cole and he quit. He's just like, I quit. I'm done being harassed by these girls. And then they just take his spot for the whole show, just doing the whole shit. And Bailey's even working people, dude. And again, I don't even say this in like, oh, you know, social media, whatever, because they're still, you know, in a top spot. But she's using social media to augment everything, because she's even working people on there, because she keeps posting one photo of her just giving this look over and over and replies to people, and it's genuinely pissing people off. It's like, stop doing that. Is
that the one that they posted in response to Asuka too?
I think so. I think so. Yeah, same one. It's just
the one with them on the commentary desk, just looking like...
Yeah, exact one.
Yeah.
If you go on Bailey's profile, dude, and you look in her media section, you will see that picture over and over again, honest to God. Like...
I saw you quote tweet it earlier and just say, why are you like this?
Yeah, because they're poking the bear, dude. I'm like, I've never seen anybody have everything go so right for them, and then wake up and be like... Today's a good day to throw my life away. I'm like, I don't know, man, but I'm loving it though. Easily, I think one of the best heels in wrestling is Bailey.
Yeah, I will say, I miss Jay White, because I feel like he could give her a run for her money, but right now she's completely uncontested.
Yeah, like. Is it weird that even though Sasha's heel, I prefer Bailey's heel to Sasha heel at the moment?
Right now, yeah. Well, I think, you know what, I think that there's a part, like, to a degree, I think that's intended, because it feels very much like Sasha is meant to be the supporting character right now. Like, we all see Sasha as, like, the most talented woman on the roster, maybe excluding Io Shirai. And that's even if we extend it to NXT. If we don't, then it's pretty close to hands down. Maybe excluding Asuka, I guess, maybe. But, like, right now, she's in a supporting role. Like, this is like taking fucking Chris Pratt and saying, okay, Chris Pratt, we want you to go back to being the chubby fat friend again. You know, it's like, wait a minute, we got, like, this person is like one of the biggest draws in their industry. They're the leading actor. Why are they in a supporting role right now? But then it turns out, like, oh, I get it, because Brad Pitt is the leading actor, or in this case, Bayley is the fucking, you know, the main character of this story. And Sasha is her supporting actor, or actress in this case. And she's doing a great job at playing the supporting actress, and she's kind of finding ways to kind of steal a little bit of the spotlight for herself when it's supposed to be on Bayley, with some of the glances that she was giving Bayley when she didn't have a championship of her own. And even now, she's the Raw Women's Champion, so it's like she's found a way to steal the spotlight for herself. It's like they're almost making a story out of Sasha not being given the spotlight Bayley has been given. And she's, again, she's taking full advantage of it.
Yeah. It's a brilliant story, and it's just a shame that, like, nothing's ever really gone right for these women. And even though it seems to be going right now, and forgive me, everybody, because I'm enjoying the ride as much as anybody else, I'm always thinking, like, is that other shoe going to drop today? And thankfully, so far, it hasn't.
Yeah.
But, like, I wish that this was in front of a crowd, because I'd be dying to know how they'd be reacting to this. Would they be eating out of their hands like I'd be hoping they would? Would they be apathetic? How would they be reacting? Because we can have conjecture, and conjecture's fine, but conjecture pales in the face of reality. And I'd just love to know how on top of their game these women would be really in the eyes of people. How would their merch... Well, I guess we could still know how their merch is selling. WWE shop hasn't closed down with this pandemic, even though people might be in more financial straits because of it, you know? So I just wish we were under ideal conditions, because I'd love to know how much merch are they moving? How much is the crowd popping, you know, or booing or whatever? Because I just think they're doing such quality work. And then, you know what? Even if the crowd wasn't showing up, I would probably just get on this pulpit and be like, yeah, you're wrong. They're fucking great anyway. Because I'm loving what they're doing, man. I think it's a great ride. And I'm hoping with the whole Asuka stuff, even though, you know, again, that's more Raw, and I know we moved on from Raw, I hope that they fucking broke Asuka, and I hope Asuka terrorizes them come Monday, and I hope Asuka puts them in a position where one of them has to make the choice. And then another crack would be, you know, maybe Sasha chooses the title over Bayley, and she'll be like, dude, what the hell? Which even their interactions on Twitter are fucking adorable, because I'd have to probably go back a little bit, because, you know, I think I'd have to go back to, like, last Monday, but she more or less posted something where, maybe I'm even close to it, where she's like, yeah, Sasha, I'm not even in any of these pictures that you posted, but yeah, you did it, baby, and it's just like, oh my god, that little sly, like, Sasha keeping Bayley out of the celebration, and Bayley, like, still celebrating because it's, like, her girl Sasha, and it's like, it doesn't matter, we're cool, right? Yeah, we're cool. I just love it. I love it. I love the little passive aggressiveness going on within the broader story that you brilliantly articulated. It's just good shit. It's great shit.
It's great shit, god damn it.
Hell yeah. So what came after this?
Well, since we're kind of talking about how Bayley beat Nikki Cross clean as a whistle, immediately after that, we had kind of an interesting segment that followed up on the fact that we got our first Firefly Funhouse on the 724 show for the first time in a while. And it basically said, hey, The Fiend is back, so watch the fuck out. And then Friday, like this past, like literally just last night, we got Alexa trying to console Nikki after her loss. Nikki shoves her away and then walks out on her, and then the lights start going out, and the fucking Fiend appears, mandible claws Alexa Bliss with the Hurt Glove, and that is what we see as the final image of SmackDown Live.
Okay, dude, I've actually really been dying to know, like, substantively what you think about this, because I know how I feel, and I had Cliff come in and tell me that he didn't really care for it. So I want to know how you feel about this. Did you enjoy it? Were you meh on it, him attacking Alexa? How did you feel about it?
You know what? I'm very intrigued. I'll say that for sure. I'm very intrigued. I'm interested to see where they go with it. But I do have ambivalent feelings. I'm mixed, man. I like that they're willing to kind of push the envelope in this way and have the Fiend go after the one person in WWE Universe that we know Braun cares about. I appreciate that for sure. But I also am a little bit annoyed that it looks like we're going to get an Alexa Bliss heel turn like a year and a half too late. Because for the longest time, Alexa was just this horrible person. She was a terrible person. She was always fucking right about everybody. She never got any comeuppances. She was basically an active wrestler, Stephanie McMahon, because she was always right about everything. She never got any comeuppances. She always used people and then trashed them. She always, made friends and then immediately turned on them as soon as she got what she wanted. And, she never got any comeuppances, and then she just randomly decided to turn face, and it actually stuck this time with Nikki Cross. She never got a comeuppance, and now she's going to turn back to being heel, and it's like, oh, well, she's just going to end up being right again because, she was the better friend to Nikki, and then Nikki started screwing over Alexa because Nikki was the one that was sneaky in their match last week to determine a contender. Nikki was the one that shoved Alexa this week, and if Alexa does turn on Nikki, we're still going to be able to say that Bliss was right because Nikki was the worst friend.
Yeah. Wow, when you put it like that, man, shit. Because I will say, my immediate feelings, and I still kind of feel this way, even after your great explanation there, because I really do appreciate that. I loved it. Because I think I even tweeted immediately. I want to read you guys my exact tweet here. Because I don't think I tweeted much. Yeah. I said, I don't care how any of you feel about The Fiend, because I've also been seeing, some people kind of sour on The Fiend online. I said, I loved him attacking Alexa at the end. A monster like that shouldn't give one iota of a fuck who they hurt. Yeah. And so I loved it, because WWE's whole, kind of weird touch-and-go relationship with man on woman kind of segments, I think they chose the right time to be pro, for that, because I think it does make it personal with Braun. I think it is an ingenious vehicle to turn Alexa heel that isn't lazy or conventional. But the thing is, too, I agree with everything you said, and even her becoming a babyface, it's almost like she kind of fell into it and there wasn't, any narrative catharsis. It would have been cool, right, if, she did bully Nikki, or maybe Nikki did learn the truth, Alexa was talking about her the way Nia kind of did, and that led to their whole WrestleMania match. Yep. And maybe Alexa, though, was, getting beat up or something, and Nikki came out and made the save, and Alexa was all confused because it's I said all that mean stuff about you. And Nikki could even say something like, look, just because you may not be a good person doesn't mean that I have to be a bad person. I saw you getting beat up. Saving was the right thing to do, because you did still treat me better than anybody when I first came here, even if you didn't mean it. You leave Alexa with her thoughts. She returns the favor to Nikki. When Nikki's in a situation, that's how you do a classic turn. I feel like they didn't even do that. I feel like, if I remember correctly, Alexa just kind of fell into it. Oh, hey, yeah, you see me as a friend, and yeah. It's like
she just randomly decided for literally no reason, oh, this time I think I'll actually try to be a good friend. And now this is the one relationship that she tries to be a good friend in, and now the person that she's trying to be friends with was a bad friend to her in return.
Yeah. And it's well, this is why I was an asshole. But I think a lot of it loses its narrative punch precisely for the points that you made. There was no comeuppance for Alexa when she was a heel. There was no catharsis for her, turnaround moment of I've changed. Yep. There was no narrative punch. So I think my narrative punch is more, and see, maybe that's why I loved it. I wasn't even really thinking about Alexa stock. I was thinking more I'm glad to have an intimidating fucking Fiend back. Because I hadn't seen him do anything that cool since he made Seth Rollins cower in the corner, and then we got the whole remixed Firefly Funhouse theme that took over the Raw outro, which was still, I would say, one of the best Raw endings in years. So it was good to get that kind of Fiend back. I kind of got that vibe, with him putting the mandible claw on her, and Braun hasn't responded on Twitter. Alexa hasn't tweeted anything, which is good because we've been kind of lambasting social media this whole time. But that does make me interested in how are these parties going to respond on SmackDown? How is Nikki going to respond that she wasn't there for her friend? Because I saw people say, "Come on, Nikki, you just went to the back. You seriously didn't hear any of that? What the fuck?"
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is that not only did she kind of not, I don't want to say she cheated. She didn't cheat, but she kind of won in an underhanded way for a championship match that she then squandered, but then she shoved Alexa away when she was trying to console her, and then she didn't try to save her when she was being fucking assaulted by the Fiend. Like, that's 3 strikes and you're out, Nikki. You're gonna get turned on.
Yeah. Paul, I should just... Yeah. Well, Ashton, you already answered Paul's question, so I don't need to double down. Because I was just going to address that. But yeah. I mean, God, Alexa Bliss, man, they tell the weirdest fucking stories with her. I mean, I guess they make sense in the way my father rationalizes shit. Like, it's really convoluted, and you got to cock your head 45 degrees, and you have to squint. But you can get there. And that's the Alexa Bliss model of storytelling. Don't we want something that's pretty transparent and straightforward? No, goddammit. They gotta work to understand it. So yeah, that was the last thing that happened on the show, though. So is there anything else we need to talk about?
Nope, we're done.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so high spots and low shots. Low shot. Let's see. You know what? I'm gonna be a basic bitch this week because this recap mentally broke me and really made me doubt myself. I even said at one point that my opinions are trash and I should never have an opinion on anything ever. I'm just going to go with Grand Metalik. You had a title opportunity. You squandered it. This was your chance to get Lucha House Party out of obscurity and the lower card where you're eating garbage and into something relevant. And yeah, you lost to AJ. You lost to a guy that isn't explicitly Flat Earther, but he finds theories interesting about it. You lost to a guy that entertains Flat Earth, even if he doesn't believe it. Like... I don't know, fam. Low shot to me. Who do you got?
You lost a match to a guy who flies regularly and considers the possibility that the Earth isn't round.
Who you got?
Ooh, honorable mention to Alexa Bliss because of everything we just talked about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then my actual low shot is the Kabuki Warriors because, you know, one of them got the shit beat out of him and isn't going to be around anymore, and the other one lost the Raw Women's Championship, actually.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Wow, I thought all my stab wounds healed, and then Logic came in and was just like, what's one more? I want to say high spot's me for surviving this, but actual high spot... Fuck. Why not? I think taking both would be unfair. So I'll just go with Bayley because she retained her title again, and now she's been champion for close to 300 days now.
We wouldn't be a real team if we didn't do this. I'll take Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship, actually.
Yeah, because I was originally going to say Golden Role Models as a team, but I thought that's not fair because that's taking 2 people. But that's essentially, more or less, I think that's who my high spot is.
Yeah.
But just to individuate it, like, I will take the Bayley side because I'm the one been up here, and I've consistently been saying on the podcast, I think Bayley's one of the best in the world. So I feel like just emotionally, I have more of a claim to Bayley, I guess, in that way. So, yeah, her reign continues. I don't think she's at 300 days yet. But it's going to be...
look it up. SmackDown Women's Championship. Let's see.
It should be 295 today, I think.
Yep, correct. Wow, you're keeping track. Oh my God, you're such a fanboy.
Well, commentary did say 294, and that just stuck with me, so I knew today would be 295.
Okay.
So it's not as impressive, but at least I'm attentive.
Yeah. You're attentive, you're observant, and you have a good enough memory.
Thanks, bud. I feel like that's the only way I'm winning these days, at least when it comes to wrestling. So yeah, and you already said your high spot was going to be Sasha. So yeah, guys, that's it. It's over. Oh my God. Aren't we all happy about that? I'm happy about that. Okay, so that's been WWE Catch-Up Commentary. What number is this? 14? Wow, that's so few for what feels like forever. This has been Catch-Up Commentary. This has been TWitWoW. Laughing at my own bullshit. The best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort in commentary who gets just as giggly as me sometimes, I promise.
Yeah, I was just saying, I feel like we could, during the outro, we could just say, this has been your WWE Catch-Up Commentary, dumpster fire and shit. Let's go.
Yeah, really, we could. I don't know who left a dislike at, like, the 9th fucking inning, because I've been on this thing the whole time.
That feels like such a Paul move, but I know Paul's better than that. We love you, Paul.
We do love you, Paul, and I know you wouldn't hurt me like that because I know I've done nothing but love on your face every NXT live reactions. So whoever disliked it, you shit in my mouth. Like, I've really just been beaten down, and you were just like, one more. And yeah,
I imagine it was just Wes just showing up and hearing me say Dumpster Fire Edition and be like, okay, well, fuck this, I'm out.
Well, guess what, Wes, if that is who did this? Thick.
With 23 C's.
I'll put as many fucking C's on it as I want. And you know what? There's something else I want to say, but I'm gonna rein it back. Go rein it back. So if you haven't left a like yet, please do so. Subscribe.
What's the matter, really John? Don't you want to start shit posting?
Dude, you know what? Since you said it, fuck it. And while you're learning how many C's Thick actually has, why don't you look up Urban Dictionary to find out what shit posting actually is instead of asking
for the fourth time.
Yeah, for the fourth time. We have receipts. So, wow, I didn't think we'd go there, but we did. You know what, guys? I'm going to try something different. You really should subscribe, because we worked hard for this. We worked really fucking hard for you people. Like, I'm really thinking, since I'm the one doing the outro this week, and, like, he's probably going to give me a lecture after this. I don't give a fuck.
No, I would never.
We've been on here for 2 hours, and I realized that I probably spent 90 minutes of it bitching, so I've earned you guys clicking a fucking bell icon, because I swear to Christ, if one of you comes in when we're doing a commentary and it's like, hey guys, what's up? Sorry I'm late. Well, you know.
You know what? The sorry I'm late thing is fine. It's the what did I miss an hour and a half into a show that we love.
Yeah. See that. You know how you don't miss anything? See that bell right there?
You click the bell icon, you jingle it.
I fucking tell you people, every fucking outro, you know what? After this, I'm not gonna be nice anymore. Click the fucking bell icon. I'm not doing this anymore. I told you people fucking twice, because I'm looking at the counter, streaming for 2 hours. That's 2 hours of my life that I actively mired myself in misery for you.
If you want a more precise count, it's 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Jesus Christ, I've given that much time to this? No, you people owe it to me. Subscribe. Click that bell icon. I'm sick of this shit. So, do it. Keep up to date with this shit. I'm not your fucking nanny. I never wanted children. What makes you think I want any of you fucking people? Stay on top of your shit. And you know why else you do it? Because listen, okay? No, I'm doing it. I'm broken after this. Who is better than us? Who has the work rate that compares to us? I drop names, but that would be giving them more airtime than they're worth. You know you're not going to go to anyone else. And if you're thinking, wow, I don't really like the two John's taking right now, I might take my business elsewhere. Where? I'll wait. Yeah, that's right. You have no options. Click subscribe. Appreciate that we work harder than everyone else.
What are you going to do? Go to JD from New York and get insulted every time you have an opinion that disagrees with him?
Yeah, see, he name dropped. Yeah, what are you going to do? Go to OTRS Central where they're just going to act like they're the smartest person in the fucking room? No, you're not, because you're not fucking stupid. So you know that we're the best.
Where they openly insult matches that they've never watched before?
Exactly. Like, it's been a while since I've been in some beef, especially because I'm primarily vegan in my diet, but fuck it. They know they suck deep down inside. You know they suck deep down inside. So just stick with us. Give us your money by donating on Patreon. And look, $1 would be great for Q&A because it definitely benefits you because you get to take more of my time with 5 questions instead of 3. You're welcome. $3 is great because you get on the Discord that I rarely attend, but when I make appearances there, I'm very clearly the highlight. I know, I'm practically told that when I show up because it's such a shock to people. And, if you want to donate other stuff, then you get to control our fates even more by being like, ooh, I have $30 and a shitty wrestling pay-per-view that made me give up on the business for 5 years. That's perfect for John and Ashton. And then, you donate it to us and we do that. So we give you a lot of power here. And I would just fucking appreciate if that was acknowledged. We all click the bell icon, we all subscribe, and we all just went on the journey together. Okay? I'm done dragging you by the road. You're either going to do it, or I'm just still going to drag you to it. I mean, you're not going to leave regardless. I didn't want to build that up. No, you're coming regardless. I would just like if you came by choice. So, do your job. I'll continue to do my job. He'll continue to do his job because nobody else is fucking doing it like we do it. So, you're welcome, guys, that we've been picking up the slack. And leaving
Dude,
for,
I don't know if you've noticed, but this intro has basically turned us into AEW in the sense that we've gotten like a third of the viewers we had, twice as many likes. So they're way more active.
Yeah, there you go.
Viewership dropped in half, but viewer support is higher than ever.
Yeah, maybe this is what they wanted. Maybe they just wanted me to flex a little bit. I mean, I have the biceps to do it. I have a Facebook. I know for a fact. So, yeah, look, I mean, again, we cover New Japan. We cover Stardom. When we're in a good mood, we'll cover AEW. Apparently, they're even doing something tonight. I'm really glad we checked out of that because I'm not really sure what would have happened to me if we did check in on it. But nobody works harder than we do. And you can check out all of our social media. Like I said, we do have a Patreon. Donate $1. Helps Q&A. $3 you get in the Discord. And guys, most of you have been longtime fans. You've known us for years, and we're going to keep doing it. I mean, next week, we got more Stardom stuff for you. 5-Star Grand Prix is going to be happening soon, which we're going to be previewing. Won't be long, we're back in the New Japan saddle. And here's the thing, we are so committed to you, and I am so committed to having opinions because I'm an asshole, that WWE, even when they have SummerSlam and in their bold infinite vision have a pay-per-view a week later, Payback, because indeed it is a bitch, we're going to cover both. Why? Because we don't rest, we don't tire, we don't think, whatever, because we are always grinding. So just grind with us, and just subscribe and click that fucking bell. I'm just really selling it because I just really feel like a lot of you guys do it. You really do it. So do it. And when are we going to see him again, Ashton? Because I know I'm outroing. I just want to know from you.
Oh, wait, again for what specifically?
Just anything. Because we just do it better than everyone else.
Let's just assume Wednesday for NXT.
Wednesday for NXT. Again, I've seen other people. We're better. Be here. That's it. The honesty is the best advertisement, right? So be here. Be here to watch me turn up again when I know I should be going to therapy more than once a week. So yeah, Wednesday, 8 p.m., live reactions. We're going to be alive and reacting to things and doing it better than everyone else. Be there. So yeah, that's it. Until then, tune in, love yourselves and each other, stay safe, take your meds if you're like me and you definitely need to be on fucking something just to fucking cope with the shitty fucking wrestling that the reactors make it the best thing going today. Long live golden role models. Love you, Kairi Sane. Can't think of anything else.